Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to another fantastic day here at the SMITE Pro League. I'm Tom Battinger, and joining me is everybody's favorite strong woman, Taco the Great. How you doing, bud?
Feeling pretty good. Thanks for the introduction.
Gotcha.
Appreciate that.
Hell yeah, man. You know, sky's out, and it's time to get excited. Like we said, SK has been on a tear. They're going to play a little bit later against Renegades, who's kind of brand new to playing. It's exciting to finally see them. And then early, we're going to start with Dignitas versus Trifecta.
And Trifecta definitely had a little bit of a doozy going on in their set yesterday, so this is looking to be, I think, a bounce-back period for them, but going to be tough when Dignitas is who you're going to face the day after things go a little bit not so much in their favor.
Exactly. Dignitas sitting on top of the crop here, undefeated, and today as they look down at from 1 to 10, Dignitas certainly planning on keeping it that way. Trifecta, though, have been showing some signs of greatness. You've been talking to some pros, and they've been noticing what Weekend's been able to do. But as we said, the top team, Team Dignitas, these guys have really, they were making some rumbles in the offseason. People were talking about who is truly going to be on top, and Dignitas has proven time and time again that it's them.
Dignitas are also, I think, doing an exceptional job at exploiting a lot of teams' mistakes. Oftentimes, whenever teams just make even the slightest little bit of a misplay, it's Dignitas there, instantly ready to pick it up. And I think that just bodes very well for the team in general. Shows really good signs that their synergy is definitely developing pretty well.
It's going to be exciting to watch whether you're here at home or at MomoCon. Shout out to everybody out there that's hanging out with the squad. I know a number of people were there last night for the meet and greet. The pros were down there last evening. I'm going to be making my way down there this weekend. We'll see what's going on. MomoCon's always a good time. How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, not really one too big for events, but I mean, I'm sure MomoCon's going to be a fantastic time, and I would definitely recommend it for somebody who's in the area.
Secret gremlin over here, Taco. When it comes down to it, Dignitas is who we're looking at today, and I think there's a lot of people to kind of celebrate, but what I think one of the interesting things about this team was you've got this core, you've got this variety, you've got this QvoFred, you've got this Trixtank, and they brought two members in, and in that middle lane, you've got Hurriwind, who's really been standing on his own 2 feet.
I think that Hurriwind actually had an exceptional set last week, and I'm actually really excited to see how Dignitas continues to utilize Hurriwind moving forward, because he's feeling like a very utility-based member for the team, but I think that's perfectly acceptable right now, and we're in a meta where it doesn't necessarily need to be your mid or jungle that's always carrying, but on the instances where they've needed Hurriwind to step up, he most certainly has.
Exactly, and I think that's really the key there, is that the utility that Hurriwind brings is that he can sometimes bring utility, meaning he can either be your carry, he can play the Aphrodite, and you know, we've seen Aphrodite a couple of times. I prefer her in the mid. I like seeing that work out. Hurriwind was able to do that. So we saw that, and then we've seen, like I said, the Zeus. You saw the highlights as well. So Hurriwind has been a multifaceted player here for the squad. I think a part of what makes Dignitas so great is how you never know what to expect out of that mid lane.
I also think that Trixtank has been doing an awesome job on the support role. He's definitely been a large part of the reason why Hurriwind has felt so protected and safe inside of that mid lane, and I just love watching those two play off of each other.
They play confidently, and they play impressively. We've got Hurriwind standing by before the game to see what his thoughts are right now.
I'm here live with Hurriwind, the mid laner for Dignitas. Today, their opposition is Trifecta. Hurriwind, first of all, you saw Trifecta play yesterday. What did you think about their performances, and what can you maybe capitalize on here today?
One thing I noticed is their picks are kind of all over the place. They kind of also look a little bit all over the place. I thought they were kind of an uprise. They looked a little bit shaky yesterday, so we'll see how it comes today.
One thing to ask as well, you guys are technically on a streak right about now, undefeated so far. Is that coming into play with you guys at all? Are you thinking about that when you go into these games, that you are on a hot streak, or is it each game as it comes?
Yeah, it's a cliche. Each game is as it comes. We prepare for these guys just about as much as anyone else, not underestimating them by any means.
Last real question, any picks we're going to see today in terms of like anything we've not seen before?
If all goes as planned, hopefully.
What's the scoreline going to be?
3-0.
Thanks a lot, Hurriwind. Best of luck today. And that's it from Dignitas. Back to the desk.
Real honest stuff there from Hurriwind. You know, the first question, he was just like, straight up, they look like things are a mess, and we're going to look to take advantage of that. Yesterday, another tumble for Trifecta.
I think that I can't really, disagree with what Hurriwind stated. I think that largely looking at Trifecta, we have seen some signs of, I think, that potential that we know that some of these individual players are capable of on that roster, but the big picture so far has really just been that Trifecta is kind of a hot mess right now.
They really are. I think the two standout points have been Weaken in the jungle, and then Eonic's return to the SPL has been at times really exciting. The Sylvanas play has been really off the wall. A lot of players have been, for what it's worth, but Eonic, I think, has kind of been important for Trifecta to find the moments that they actually have found.
I think, to be fair to Trifecta as well, yesterday's set felt very uncharacteristic of the team as a whole. I think we saw a lot of like missed abilities, items that were just like a little bit questionable or off the mark, decision making that just felt pretty sloppy, and I think that the team was very unsatisfied with their performance. And I mean, most teams that get 3-0'd probably are going to be, but there's a difference between losing 3 games in fashion and just not having any sort of a response throughout those matches. And I think it was more so the latter for Trifecta. But again, I largely don't believe that yesterday was a very good indicator of what this team is truly capable of.
I got to agree, and I'm not going to, make any bones about it. This is a 10th place team, and they're likely to be there for a moment or two. But at the end of the day, I think that they're certainly far away from plateauing. You've got Eonic, who was a perennial, one of the standout players of his time, and he's just now coming back. He skipped almost a full season of competitive play, and even the last time we saw him, he wasn't really a mainstay of the whole league. This is the first time in a long time that he's really like locked out and played. He can grow and do what he can. Lasbra was a rookie. This is a new position for him. So there's a lot on Trifecta's side that make you go, well, we'll see what happens as they grow, because everybody's kind of starting anew.
The one big thing that I can definitely say should probably be a promising transitioning point for Trifecta as the season progresses is the fact that these are some very innovative players, and I think that we can definitely expect these guys to stray a little bit more towards the unconventional.
That's absolutely true. Lasbra was one of the most exciting rookies to watch last season. Here he is in his mid lane, and we're going to talk to him right now to see how he's feeling.
I'm joined now with Trifecta's mid lane at Lasbra as they're about to take on their match against Dignitas. Lasbra, yesterday, rough performance from you and the boys. Obviously, it kind of showed on social media you weren't really happy as a team with what happened. What has been the focal point going into today that you've been trying to improve?
I think it's just reset everything, going with a fresh mentality and going with the mindset that we can beat them.
I'm talking about Dignitas a little bit more. This team is undefeated. It's going to be a big challenge for you guys being at the bottom. Is there anything you specifically prepped for this matchup today?
Yeah, but I don't want to go into too much detail into it. But we are pretty much setting up most of the things that we're gonna do.
Just so you know, you can leak it because they can't hear this, and they're also not able to listen to the broadcast right now. So you can say it if you want to.
I'm not gonna say anything.
I'm trying, guys. I'm really trying here. What's the prediction on the scoreline today?
3-2 for us.
Well, it's not as confident as Weaken was yesterday. Thanks so much, Lasbra. Best of luck today. Back to the desk.
Love to hear from Lasbra. Really likes to have a good time. And, right there, I like what we heard, because he's like, look, they're a hard team, but we've got something planned, and I'd much rather than have something planned than just go, we're going to play our game and try and make it happen, because it won't happen. I need a specific strategy, and Trifecta seem to be looking towards it.
And I think it should be pretty exciting when you try to imagine some of the stuff that Trifecta might try to pull off. I think the big thing is catching Dignitas off guard, because I think that Dig has done an excellent job at really just understanding how to abuse teams around objective play. I think that a lot of their compositions are solely geared towards that team fighting stage the mid to late game, which is why a lot of their matches also tend to go a little bit longer, because Dignitas doesn't mind biding their time. They're okay with just stretching a match out.
We'll see if that's going to be the case. Picks and bans here for Dignitas as they're on the left side. They'll have the first pick, and of course the first ban. We've seen a number of different things come out. Here in Season 6, players have been opting to pay more attention to individual strengths. That said, Xbalanque, a meta ban. Players, nobody likes when the lights get turned out, so Xbalanque will be banned, and Trifecta going to go for King Arthur.
Wouldn't be surprised if Trifecta... Well, actually, this might be one of the first times we're seeing Trifecta. I can't believe I'm saying this now, actually. I've been brushing it on because of the fact that, we're just used to seeing all the other teams banning King Arthur. But Trifecta finally going to let Ducky have a little bit of freedom, I think, in that solo lane. And granted,
wonder-
that's not variety's not an easy matchup, but it's going to be nice seeing Ducky not be forced into certain picks to try and compensate for a King Arthur lane.
Definitely a sigh of relief there for Ducky. And, you know, when it comes down to it, I think that there are a lot of strong solo laners in the game and a lot of strong King Arthur solo laners play. But Variety was the first one with that 1v4 highlight reel. The game is different, but that leaves a mark on you. And I think Trifecta are like, yeah, we're not going to let that one happen.
Well, they've already had it happen to them from other teams multiple times, so I think it's just best to not give Variety a god that he's going to be able to try and bully the lane with. But Achilles,
He's going to have a god that he's going to be able to try and bully the lane with. That'll be rough.
it's not as bad, though, considering the fact that Ducky, I think, can kind of match that with the Osiris. We've been seeing a lot of Osiris play as of late, loving the acquisition of frontline here for Trifecta, and I think it's relatively safe right now for Trifecta to kind of just solidify their solo and support.
Sure.
I don't really think that Dignitas want to risk losing any pressure picks, so they're going to opt for the Erlang, and it's still relatively flexible, I think, between the Achilles and Erlang as to where they'll end up.
Dignitas go Kronos, and that's still relatively flexible. Could go to Hurriwind, could wind up in the hands of the carry as well. So we'll see how that one works its way out. Trifecta, on the other hand, a little bit more cut and dry. Hachiman could wind up in the hands of Lasbra, but I think it's much more likely to be in the carry's arsenal, to be fair. First ban of the second phase, Trifecta on the clock. If you look across the way, Dignitas have solo and jungle, and they have maybe a carry. I'm looking towards Guardians, and I'm looking towards, I think AMC is a great ban, because AMC is another hunter that can play both positions.
Maybe a Fafnir ban for Trifecta. Even
Yeah.
Kronos, I think, kind of leaves things a little open-ended for Dignitas if they wanted to go for a double hunter composition. Still, gods like Ullr or on her that Hurriwind could try taking into mid and leaving that Kronos instead for Ataraxia in that hunter role, because, I mean, if there's one place that Kronos could definitely be safe in, it's duo to get all of that solo farm.
Fafnir is going to work well with Erlang Shen as well, and I mean, even Achilles just swings with his non-attack chain, right? So a Fafnir ban would be kind of smart here for Trifecta. Wowy thinking it over, and instead it's going to be the Zeus. Hurriwind has been pretty devastating on the Lightning Man, so they'll take that away. Dignitas instead focuses on the jungle, and Trifecta on the clock one more time. They need a jungler and likely a mid.
And Trifecta, I think, are a little bit more locked in right now. I like that they have the Terra and Osiris, though, because that's already a decent amount of crowd control. So they can kind of just opt to look for something with a little bit more burst damage base. Maybe a Havwa, even for Lasbra, could bode very well here, because it deal with Kronos and Erlang pretty well.
That's fair. That's fair. Abwa would be a nice pick. That said, I think if we... Hebo's kind of hard for a newer mid laner. Discordia is a little bit safer. Everybody's going to meme me for saying Hebo's hard because he hits for 1,000 with all of his abilities, but very positional dependent, and Lasbra is still learning that, and I think if you ask any mid laner worth their salt, they'll say that positioning is one of the harder things to learn. Discordia, a lot safer. I like this pick a lot.
Strife is also a pretty neat space control tool, so I think that Trifecta are definitely looking to make a stance underneath objective and tower siege play. Possible early buff invades as well. I think that Terra Hachiman is aggressive enough to try and clash with Dig early on, especially with that Aphrodite being locked in now for Dignitas. I definitely want to see a little bit more early game presence from Trifecta with their last pick here. Possibly even, well, I'm not too keen on the Thanatos, but I just want a god that has lots of burst damage for them, because Aphrodite is definitely going to be problematic if she's left untouched.
Weekend has been a catalyst for this squad lately, and he's going to go the hard carry of Susano. Dignitas put Hurriwind on the Aphrodite, which he plays really well. And Afro Raven can be so incredibly oppressive. Raven slows you down, roots you, back off, dot damage. It's insane. Dignitas' composition is really, really well crafted. That said, across the way, I think Trifecta have a composition that could bring them some success. Susano in the right hands can run a game.
I actually really like Trifecta's team fighting a little bit more so than Dignitas. Dignitas feels very execution heavy, but if
Sure.
there's a team that can pull it off, it'll be Dig.
Well, it's a best of 5 here. We're going to start the SPL off right. Trifecta versus Team Dignitas on the call. It's going to be Aggro and Hindu Man.
Thanks so much to Tom and Taco on the desk. Yeah, it's Dig up against Trifecta here. And looking at these rosters, Ryan, Dig have a attach to Afro and run at them composition.
Yes, and they don't even really need the Afro link in order to do it effectively. I mean, Erlang Shen just does it better than just about anybody except maybe Ravana or except maybe Achilles. Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is going to be tough. And then you've got the Kronos, who now has basically 3+ life bars between the rewind, his initial life bar, and that Undying Love, the healing as well. I mean, good luck. Trifecta's going to have to either get a lot of burst damage up front or get their damage sustained throughout an entire fight.
Well, I'm glad Ducky was looking up there, because if he looks into the solo lane today, he's also against Variety, who is another giant of a man.
Yes.
So no real surprise. I'm playing a giant of a man in the Achilles in the solo lane. Up against the Osiris. This is a newer matchup, but I feel like it's going to be one that's going to be a tale as old as time as the season progresses.
Exactly. I mean, there's just been so much Osiris and Achilles play as of late. I like what Eonic's doing here, blocking off the minions perfectly to make sure that they delay their own minion wave. This can get them an opportunity to potentially invade here or try and start their own blue buff so that, because Dignitas won't be able to hit their wave for a longer period of time.
That's fair, but it's a chance for Dignitas then to, if they know that's happening with Terra being up there, they could look for aggression themselves, and they're going to do so. Trix and Variety on the way, Trixtank on that Erlang Shen, and Variety on the Achilles, and Ducky going to get pressured early by Trix, who didn't go for the pin option, instead went for the transformations. Did knock them up, but it's not slowing them down just yet.
No, they're going to try and 50-50 this buff, it looks like. Nice double stun from Variety. Eonic should have the main secure, and he does alongside Ducky, who actually got his 2 to make sure that it's secured even better. Heads up. And this actually works out beautifully because the wave is closer to them with that minion block, so they get the experience a little bit faster.
Good point overall. So a small lead for Trifecta on the right-hand side of the map. With a 2v2 trade that didn't really work out in Dig's favor. Right, getting bullied a little bit in the lane. Got to be respectful of that Osiris at the level 1. Mid lane, though, the junglers are both with their mid laners here.
Red buff still up for Dignitas to take. It looks like that was actually dropped by Dig on the other side, so Quvo must have been the one that invaded red over on the left-hand side, using that pressure, knowing that Eonic is going to be on this right-hand side with Trixtank over here as well. Looks like Fred just kind of looped underneath, got his own red buff side, and invaded on their red buff.
Looking at Trifecta's composition, though, and what Dignitas have drafted, anti-heal is going to be the order of the day for them, I feel. Sure, they've got an Osiris here, Ryan, which can, you know, with the ultimate, can cause them to not get any healing at all. But they're going to need more than that, because multiple members of this squad have sustain.
Yes.
Every member of this squad has sustain.
Absolutely. Anti-heal. I love Lasbra's start of the Magic Focus. He should be going Divine Ruin right away. Cooldown boots into Divine Ruin, I think, is the call for him. And the good news for Trifecta is they've drafted a composition that applies anti-heal well. Ducky can build a Pestilence and run at them, and it's hard to stop him from doing that. Nice gank from Weaken forces the beams from Ataraxia. Susano applies Brawler's Beat Stick very well. Discordia applies Divine Ruin pretty well, not in the sense that she has low refreshing cooldowns like I say a lot for Divine Ruin characters, but more that Unruly Magic is likely to hit just about everyone during a team fight, and so you'll at least get that stack on everyone at least once during the fight.
Definitely. The one thing about the squad as well is there's definitely a chance for a Cursed Ankh to come out in terms of relic options here. I guess looking at it though, you're more than likely expecting it to be on Eonic, although I think Ducky could potentially go that way. We'll see how that transfers as this one continues here. Hurriwind in the mid lane though started off with the Helm option here, so going for a bit of early defense, early protections.
It also gives him some penetration if he goes for the Dynasty Plate Helm. You want just that safety as Aphrodite. You just want to live as long as possible because you will always sustain back up should you have enough mana. The one thing that the Dynasty Plate Helm does not provide is a whole lot of MP5 or anything of that nature, which can be a struggle.
Hurriwind going for the Aegis though, so the reason for that, we'll hold that for Ataraxia, going to get a visit from Weaken again. It was a very good gank from him the first time round that burned the beads. The second one will be completely successful, and Weaken will lick his lips over that one.
That's when you want to kill the Kronos. You went over there, got his purification beads, come back, 80 seconds later or so, and do it all again, especially before he has the rewind. So well timed by Weaken. He's not giving up a lot of jungle farm either. He's still even with QvoFred. And this is what we were kind of missing from Trifecta yesterday is the early game aggression, the early game prowess that we've seen them have throughout the season. Despite their losses, they've looked good in those moments in the early game, and it's because of ganks just like that. And it's good to see Weekend and Trifecta kind of back where they were before.
I think with how Dignitas, how Trifecta are lining up as well, the only real lane that you can look for Weekend to be ganking is going to be this duo lane. With the Hunters being left alone, it makes it easier. Lasbra is still trying to get to grips with the mid lane, it feels like, this year. So let him just focus on getting through the early game, farming up to the best of his ability. And if you send in Eonic to the solo lane, well, do you want 3 members over there at the start? Probably not.
No, that's not what you're looking for. So a good identification by Trifecta and puts themselves off to a slight early lead. Wowy going for the Devourer's Gauntlet. Sometimes we see Hunters go the Blood Forge up against Magical ADCs just because they want that initial big power spike, like the Magical ADCs get when they finish boots and their second item and it's not a stacking item. Sometimes you'll see players try and match that. Wowy looking to play for the longer game. I don't blame him for it, but I think I would have preferred a boots rush from here to keep the pressure onto Ataraxia now that you have it.
And when you look at the lineup Dignitas has, it's a very tanky front lineup, so don't expect to see Wowy go for the penetration option this game round. It's pretty much a standard now. We don't see too many crit builds, but I can almost guarantee there is no crit build going through Wowy's head this game.
No, you're going to need it, especially when Hurriwind and Ataraxia are starting Helmet 1. Even they are going to have some physical defense that you have to chew through. So the Odysseus bow procs are something that we've seen a lot of players really like. Wowy's been going at 3rd item, I believe, for the most part. I would expect nothing less here.
And interestingly enough, though, this puts potentially a bit more pressure onto Lasbra in the mid lane. If Dignitas are going to look at playing defensive in terms of the protections, well, it means they're going physical option. So Magical is going to be available. Extra pressure onto Lasbra against his, we've not mentioned it yet, but against Trix and Quvo, the 2 guys that ended up making Lasbra come back to the scene and staying around.
Yeah, I mean, he was a substitute for their Dignitas team a couple seasons ago. They've been very supportive of him and in the way that he was playing on Insignum last year. These are very, very close friends.
Yeah.
So you expect them, these are fun matches, you know, where you get to play against some of your closest friends.
If you're winning the fun, if you're losing, there's a different story. You just get poked fun out for the entire time afterwards. Tamakugi contested on the right-hand side by Ducky, but he's got to be careful because QvoFred has made a rotation. There's a fight on the left around the purple buff at the same time, but Ducky's just looking to live. Purple buff is invaded. Ducky will dodge one a little bit, but not the second. Quvo going to be able to pick up the kill towards the tail end. Ducky had a lot of time, though. However, Variety will still get the kill. Good juggle of aggro between the 2.
Very nicely done. Can you tell that Variety and Quvo have played a lot of Smite together, by the way? I mean, those 2 make it look flawless in what is a very tricky kill. It's guaranteed from that position when you have 2 ultimates like that. It's one of those moments where a lot of times you don't get the kill and you go, I think we messed up somewhere because we should have been able to get that, but great patience, good communication on who's going to ult first, who's forcing the ult. Quvo tanks for Variety, Variety tanks for Quvo. Really nicely done.
It makes it look seamless, but I think if we actually spoke to those players, they'd be like, yeah, we didn't even speak. It just happened, and I knew that he'd probably ult before me, so I waited with mine. You know?
And that's what I mean. Where the only way you get to that point is by playing a lot of Smite together. Even communication is so hard in those spots.
We can look to make plays a little bit more so now, rotating to the solo lane, but Eonic has made this rotation as well, and Variety, without his ultimate available, will be hit by those walls. But Eonic, he's doing his best to battle back under his tower, and a calamity of errors means he escapes. Why did no one continue the aggression?
Yeah, I mean, exactly what we just saw Variety and QvoFred do is exactly what Trifecta should have done. Ducky's tanking the tower. Why isn't Weekend going in and throwing out some auto attacks? Sure, he's got no abilities, but autos will do the job from there. And then even if Weekend isn't there, Ducky, if he just doesn't turn around and assume that he hit the 2, can probably keep it going for a little bit longer at least. Variety had just used his buttons. He's got nothing else available. We know his ult is down. That should have absolutely been a kill for Trifecta, but that synergy just isn't there. I mean, that's the perfect comparison between what Dignitas have been able to do and really grow together in the last few years and the new roster of Trifecta and what a difference it can make.
All it needed was just one person to tank that tower. The other 2 could have ran it down for the kill. Maybe they were worried about the rotation a little bit, but I still think they could have got that at the end. Gold lead is still Trifecta's, though, as it stands at a 1-1 scoreline. Trifecta should have actually picked up their second kill here. Dignitas trying to get the oracles with Hurriwind and Trixtank. They're not the greatest of clearers, these 2, in fairness, in the early game, Aphrodite and Erlang Shen, but they are almost unkillable when linked together.
So tough, man, because there's so much CC for Trixtank. He gets a shield naturally with the 72 transformations if he goes into the turtle form. pin, taunt, and then Hurriwind, as soon as if you do manage to stick on him as he's running away, knocks you away and slows you. He can stun you. Then you've got Undying Love. Oh yeah, Trixtank has a big heal and damage mitigation. I mean, Trifecta just doesn't have the tools quite yet, though. Now that Lasbra has finished off that Divine Ruin, we can start to think about it. We can go to the Crusher instead of the Brawler's Beat Stick. It's risky, I think, for him to not go Brawlers right away. I think I would have preferred to see that, but Crusher is such a big damage increase for Susano, where he can proc it on every single ability in his kit, that as long as we can get a kill or two with this Crusher, and then back and finish a Brawlers right away, I think they'll be okay.
Trix and Hurry trying to get these left-hand harpies, but Eonic wrapping round the back. Gets the ultimate off, but the crushing walls won't make an impact. The root will, however, and that forces Trixtank to use the turtle form, but his ultimate and Hurries will keep him safe at the tail end of that. 2 ults for 2 ults. However, I think the more important ones were digs there.
Yes, getting out the Undying Love is huge from Hurriwind, and you're really looking for Lasbra's ultimate to find a home there. You also wish that Eonic is a little bit stronger with the 2 from that position. But a good idea in plays like that has happened to not work out, I will always be more of a fan of than just sitting around and waiting for Dignitas to beat us in the late game.
Completely agree.
Dignitas is going to beat you in the late game with this style of composition. You can't take failures like your gank and solo or that fight right there and think, well, maybe we should just wait it out now because we aren't executing properly. You have to keep trying, because the alternative is that you just lose.
End of the day, this is already a better trifecta we're seeing here than we saw yesterday in just these first 10 minutes. Take into account, this is the #1 team in the SPL right now. Dignitas, undefeated so far. And they're actually going toe-to-toe with them considerably well. Still hold just a first blood gold lead between the two. And Weaken, on this left-hand side, is looking for another gank on Ataraxia. Then the bad news is this time he got spotted on some of those wards that Dignitas have placed down. And that's something that you'll see more and more this year. I think wards are going to be so much more important as the season goes on.
No ward here. Weaken going to find Qvo, but he's linked to the Aphrodite. And because no anti-heal there, coming from Weaken, you can heal that right up.
Brutal Lotus Crown coming out from Hurriwind here. In the back of my head, I'm just like, oh man,
that's
how
really
annoying is that to play against? Not only do you have to deal with the link and the 2 ultimates that the 2 are going to have connected, and the sustain, but then shields on top, they're going to give you extra protections. Trick's going to ult onto Weaken, and Weaken going to double dash away. Did escape in time. No beads available for him, but there was just no synergy there with the rest of the team. Trick's just a little bit too early. Does open up a red buff though. Hurriwind going to get that for himself, and a quick pin from Trix. We'll make sure Eonic can't turn around and make it back.
I love this Lotus Crown pickup here for Hurriwind. I mean, I kind of assumed it was going to be a Dynasty Plate Helm for him in the mid lane. That is what Ataraxia went for. But as I was saying, you just don't get a lot of MP5, and that's something that you really need on Aphrodite, especially because it helps the people that you're linked to. They get a portion of your MP5. Lotus Crown does have MP5. It's power. It's still protection, and then it's even more protection whenever you activate that heal. And you'll be on a low enough cooldown already with 20% CDR that you're going to feel like you have Lotus Crown for half the fight, basically, and it's such a strong proc. This is really smart from Hurriwind, and I really like the pickup.
I mean, there's already 3 characters on that team that you class as raid bosses anyway, so why not just give them a little bit extra protection where possible and make it even harder? Variety getting pressure onto Ducky onto the tier 1 tower. Trixtank's around here, may throw out the pin, looking to try and force the back a little bit more delayed, or commit even heavier. He's only level 9 here, and he'll at least get the ultimate out. Bit of lack of communication from Trifecta there, I guess, on this rotation, because Trix had already used the ultimate.
Exactly. If there was the threat of the ultimate there, I think that's the right call from Ducky to use the ultimate, but without it, I just don't think he really needed it. But I guess maybe Variety could catch up from that position and use Fatal Strike and execute him. Still seems a bit unlikely to me.
Ducky will head back to base here as his tier 1 tower falls on the right-hand side to minions. In the mid lane though, Qvo going to get pulled around, not by choice. Ultimate used by Hurriwind. That'll avoid some of the damage, but he'll pass the apple on to Hurry for good measure. Teach him a lesson for not ulting earlier, right?
Yeah, gee, thanks. Thanks, Fred. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for keeping me alive, but you could have done it earlier so I didn't take as much damage, right?
Yeah, that's better from Trifecta. The problem is this Terra selection. Everything Terra does is really slow, and you've got 2 really quick get-out-of-jail-free cards on Dignitas.
Trix taking on Weaken, but Trix is in dangerous territory there. Just a little bit too far forward. Tried to make an individual play that comes back to bite him, as Trifecta had 4 members swarming.
Yeah, that happens to Trix every now and again. Feels like he just feels a little bit too aggressive and is feeling it a little too much and ends up getting punished for it. And usually he's much better about reining it in after that. You got everyone gets one sort of mentality, and that was Trifecta's one.
I was going to say everyone gets one. I think Trix gets like 3 an average set, I'd say. Where you're
That's
like,
one per game sometimes for
over-aggressive.
Dignitas,
But
you know?
that's a little bit more of the old Trix that we're starting to see again this year, where we've not seen it as much. He seems a little bit more loose these days, a little bit more free to, you know, make plays is the way I'm looking for, because that's what he wants to do all the time.
Yeah, and if I have to trade a couple, you know, bonehead deaths for the level of play that he's been having, I'm taking that trade 7 days a week. I mean, he's been playing so well overall. If that's what, you know, if this is the price you pay for letting him feel like he has free reign of the map and getting him in his comfort zone, so be it. I'm super down for it.
Interesting choice in the Blackthorn Hammer for him as well in this support role. Gives you a nice bit of health, not too much these days. They did get a bit of a nerf, but not weak enough that it's not going to get picked. It's mainly for the cooldown reduction than anything, because the MP5 situation, you're never going to be low enough, I feel like.
No, not on Erlang support. You get so much MP5 from the Guardian's Blessing and just getting minion kills around you that.
And Talaria dudes.
Yeah, you'll be A-okay. You get enough mana just from that to get it. And the Talaria, of course, 15 MP5 there. So Trix definitely more about the cheap health, but also wanting some power at the same time. Yeah. It's not the Gauntlet of Thebes, which it looks like he's going to be going for next, is that Gauntlet of Thebes. Wowy does end up going for the Odysseus bow third, which I think is a little bit worse against Ataraxia's Dynasty Plate helm. I think Xe third is better now with your lane opponent having dedicated physical defense. And then that would have let him get Shinsai's next item.
Yeah.
It delays his Odysseus bow by a lot, and it's a super strong item. With how much health Trix is building, you would have shredded.
Eonic going to ult early on and get the walls onto Trixtank. Hurriwind's going to ult off the back of that to make sure Trixtank stays safe. Disengage from Dignitas, full on train out of there. They were looking for a bit of aggression around the Harpies, but the collapse from Trifecta was very good to answer Dignitas' pressure.
Ducky's rotating in. Hurriwind is the focus, at least momentarily. Lasbra dumps the ultimate onto Qvo. This time won't spread it to anybody, but Ducky's here and puts Trifecta on the board. But
the problem is Trix is going in with Variety in the backside at the same time. Hurriwind couldn't get any heals off on Qvo in the fight because of that, and Ducky will go down in trade. Hurriwind credit with a kill. Variety still tanking up the tier 1 tower, has to fall back as more members of Trifecta show up. Even the Hunters do.
And this is where the healer is the difference maker for Dignitas, because everyone's a little bit weak. We just had a big fight in the mid lane, and all of a sudden Dignitas is not that weak anymore. Hurriwind will make sure of that.
Variety going to keep the aggression going onto Eonic and Wowy, forcing them back away from this Gold Fury. Dignitas should now get this without any further contestation coming out from Trifecta here. Good news from Trifecta though, we're starting to see the anti-heal come through. Brawler's beat stick online for Weaken. The Cursed Donk for Ducky was available last fight, he just never got a chance to use it.
He wasn't even that close to Hurriwind at any given point, where the fight was still happening, that the Cursed Donk usage is actually worth it from that position. It looks like he's going to be working on a Pestilence as well. Trifecta's down right now, especially in XP in the jungle, but overall, they're in a better spot to take a fight now than they were beforehand, now that Weaken has Brawler's beat stick, now that the Cursed Donk is ready. As soon as Ducky's able to finish what should be a Pestilence and upgrade that Cursed Donk, which needs to be a priority, then I think Trifecta's in a completely acceptable spot from here.
I was keeping an eye on Hurriwind's build there. I'm wondering who's going to go for the Chronos Pennant. He's gone for the Rodder Tahuti. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, is this still a situation that it affects your teammates as well?
It does.
On heals?
Yes, so you will do quite a bit in those sorts of moments. You'll heal up a lot. It's also just tons of power at MP5, which is exactly what he's looking for on the Aphrodite.
Pyromancer pulled by Trifecta here, trying to answer back the Gold Fury they just lost. Pretty good position so far. Trixtank going to lead the troops in. Eonic pops the ult at the same time. Qvo on the back going aggressive on Weaken, force him up, but Trix has already taken out Lasbra. Pyromancer is still being leashed by Ataraxia, but he drops his attention to go on a chase. Hurriwind needs some help in the backside against Ducky and gets some, but now Trix is going to be a casualty because of it.
Ducky's going to have to try and make his way out of here, and Weaken's going to try and help him. Wind Siphon right there, but a better stun coming from Variety ends that nonsense right away.
And the rewind from Ataraxia almost came up huge, but couldn't find the damage after the fact. Wowy slips to the noose, and Ducky Eonic all barge down the right-hand side, trying to get safe. Variety going to lead them in, looking for a stun. Qvo blinks, looks for the root, can't find the full-on damage just yet, and the dubs from Hurriwind won't be enough to bring Ducky down. 3 members of Trifecta survive the engagement. 4 members of Dignitas do, and they can go back and claim the Pyro.
Honestly, Trifecta's fighting pretty well here.
They are.
Especially losing Lasbra instantly. He got negative damage off that fight. I mean, he may as well have healed the enemy team with how little he was able to do that fight. And still Trifecta 1-for-1 after that, only losing Weekend. Great fight from Ducky in particular. He had really good target selection the entire time, was able to do exactly what you want your Osiris to do, which is be in the thick of the team fight, absorb a lot of cooldowns, absorb a lot of damage, and end up getting a kill and getting out simultaneously. Look at the team fight recap. I mean, Trifecta, with their mage doing no damage, does more damage than Dignitas. The problem is you're going to need to do more than just a little bit more damage overall than Dig, because Dig has so much more healing than you do.
Hurriwind was a little bit isolated in that fight, though, at the same time. I think Dignitas got a little bit too aggressive, too antsy on getting the kills there, that they left him alone in the bite. That's why Trixtank fell towards the end, because he had to come back to help.
And he was already low from diving on that backside. You're right. I mean, Hurriwind is going to be isolated intentionally sometimes by Dignitas, because if they're going to try and invest everything into him, and most of the time they need to do that, invest everything into killing Hurriwind, then the theory is that Ataraxia gets to free cast the entire team fight and kill everybody.
2 Cursed Anks then on the board for Trifecta here. Both upgraded now for Ducky and Eonic. Although there's sprint for Trixtank at the moment. When that gets upgraded, this could be another speed boost for Dignitas and engage potential, because all of these make good use of a upgraded sprint.
Yes, they do. They can really hit the gas pedal pretty heavily. It isn't just Ataraxia either. I mean, Qvo uses it, Variety uses it, even Trix himself will get some good use out of it. I almost would have liked a Blink instead of Eonic's Cursed Ankh. Having 2 is a lot, and the big thing is that would I like to? Yes, because so much of it is use the Ankh, they reset us, and then they try and fight us. So having a second Ankh is really good there. But that's a lot of communication you need to have on who is using their Ankh when, and you have to execute on that. And I just don't know that Trifecta has proven to me that they're going to be able to do that consistently in these team fights. Overlapping your Ankhs is like now having one singular relic between your frontliners. It's just, it puts you at such a big disadvantage.
Last thing to mention as well, Hurriwind, no beads picked up here. Started off with Aegis in the early game, now invested into a Shell. Really relying on his teammates more than anything else, and the ultimate, I guess.
Yeah, and that makes my idea of Blink, I think, even a little bit stronger, because Eonic can just Blink root Hurriwind, and he has to ult, because he has no other CC immunity in the kit. That's the one thing that I think Trifecta might be lacking now, is an easy way to get onto Hurriwind. It's really just Weaken's Blink, but Weaken's damage is spread out. It's not big burst damage right away. Susano takes a little bit to get the damage rolling, and so it could end up affecting their ability to kill Hurriwind.
About a 3,500 gold lead then for Dignitas at the 20-minute mark, or just after. All tied up in terms of kills right now. The next Fury is spawning. We'll see what happens around here. There's a ward down already for Dignitas. This Oni Fury won't be the most impactful at this stage of the game, but it can put some pressure on for a pyro or a cheeky fire attempt. Trix going to lead the troops in from Dignitas, looking for a route on Eonic. Full commit on Eonic, actually, and he's going to pop the ultimate. Bit of damage out from Trifecta in response, but the flanks are here from Dignitas. Ataraxia to the back line.
He's got nothing to worry about either, because he just rewinds on that apple. Ducky still doing his best. Good damage from Wowy's ultimate, but no real damage on the back line of Trifecta until Ataraxia gets it done.
Got a lot of damage off towards the fight, but he's now going to have to fall back too. Ducky did a good job of keeping 3 or 4 members busy there on the side of Dignitas, but Trifecta didn't know what they want to do. Now they're forced to fight. Variety on a double, make that even more as he gets the triple. Is he on for the penta?
Has an opportunity. He already had the triple, so one's dead. Can't get that one, but overall, he had a chance for a quadra, though it's
I actually
Ducky.
thought the delay in that was because he was on for the quadra. It was just the announcer was a little bit delayed, so that could be a bit.
No, Ataraxia got the kill early on. But Trifecta just end up walking into this really narrow corridor and let Variety and Qvo blinks in and hits a 3-man Prana Onslaught. That should never happen. I mean, that is a small targeter that really shouldn't be able to hit that many members. And this is just the pressure that something like an Aphrodite exerts on you. You have to do it perfectly. Look, teamfight recap, damage is more in Trifecta's favor again, but no one ends up dying from Dignitas. It's just too spread out. You need to be really, really good at focus fire against the Aphrodite composition. And listen to Hurriwind's pregame interview. You know, it's kind of, things aren't going super well over there. We're gonna try and take advantage of that.
Yeah.
This is how you do it. You just you say, you have to play perfectly against this to beat it. Show us that you can. And Trifecta just hasn't yet.
The one thing is, Trifecta's early game was a lot better so far, but when it came to team fights, that's when they started to struggle now. They've not been on the same page.
But also keep in mind, Dignitas' weakest part of their game so far has been their early game, and their strongest has been their team fighting and objective secure. And it's no surprise to me that Dignitas is looking this way against Trifecta. I think that Trifecta should really just go full-on, head in to a all early game composition. If this game isn't over by 25 minutes, we have lost. Like, that level of composition.
So what comp is that what comp would that be?
I mean, it's stuff like
in this meta too, like
Yeah.
what 5 gods are you gonna draft at like 25 and done? Engage on the
like
right hand side from
Harakni.
Variety, just blinked and stunned 3. Weakened, forced out through the jungle. Wowy and of course the poor lad behind him, Ducky, a bit of trouble too. Wowy's got a horsey, Ducky does not. He needs one though. Surrounded and isolated by multiple members of Dig. Going for the teleport away. Variety will make him teleport a different direction now.
Cute idea, but not going to work out for him. Lasbra now was trying to back, gets chased down by Trixtank. He gets taunted in. Good stun from Eonic, but Lasbra's still in trouble.
Trix ain't gonna give up that chase either. It's Lasbra.
No
He
chance.
wants blood wherever he can. With Ataraxia in tow, it will get the old apple out of Lasbra. Titich on the right hand side gonna get taken down by Dignitas. Backdoored at the 24-minute mark just because of the amount of health and tankiness that this front line has.
Yeah, I think if I'm Trifecta, I pick like Arachne, Thanatos. Like, give me some cheese, man.
Yeah, but if they do that, then they get memed and it goes wrong, right?
Sure.
True,
They're
it goes wrong anyway, I guess, yeah. Middle Phoenix is going to fall down very soon. Eonic got the ultimate off, so going to get a bit of extra help there. Root after the fact keeps Trixtank in place, but QvoFred got to the back line. Forces Wowy to get away. The shell, as you said, will keep him alive for now. And I'm looking at them, both Anks are still up here. Neither's been popped.
They're going to need to use at least one of them, but hopefully not both of them at the same time, because then you're not getting a whole lot of value. Mid and right Phoenix dead. The good news for Trifecta is they still have tier 2 towers on the left-hand side, so Dignitas has to wait at least a little bit
At this point,
before they get the last Phoenix.
At this point, I'm okay with both of them using it at the same time as long as they get used, because at the moment, you're just like, the ornaments at the moment is the biggest problem.
It is a cool icon, though. You know, maybe they just wanted to look at it.
Yeah, that's
They're
what we're
ornaments,
with.
that's what you're saying. I mean, they're
okay.
decorative. You know?
Gotcha.
They look nice.
I legit thought you would like talking. You would guess up how good those icons were for the curse. I'm like, what's so good about it?
It's cool.
It's just another purple and blue thing for me to have to discern from beads and teleport now.
But Onks are cool looking. They're a cool shape.
That's true. They are. I'll give you that. 9-4 then. The damage has really been done to the base of Trifecta at this point. That fire giant that Dignitas got has just ripped the game open. Dignitas had already been doing well in the team fights already, but now, as you can see, there's only this left-hand lane to push up, and there is an Oni minion wave there with them too, by the looks of some of those creeps. And as Ataraxia walks on over here, it shouldn't take too long.
Man, I mean, that was a long time where no one from Trifecta came over to clear this wave. It's not that they're going to lose the tier 2 tower to it, because it doesn't matter. But that was just a lot of that was a lot of extra farm. If right after that team fight and all of Dignitas backs, you have time to go and clear that.
True.
And make sure that there isn't a massive wave now on your left.
Well, Dignitas looking to close this one out quickly. Taunt in from Trixtank explodes weak, and we can try to make a play to the back line on Hurriwind and Ataraxia, but it won't be good enough. Ataraxia gets 2, Cuvo cleans up Lasbra, Ducky surrounded yet again. Cuvo on a double, Ataraxia on a triple. Bob's your uncle, job's done, move on.
I know that phrase now. I understand it. Look, this is what we expected from Dignitas. Clean, get to the mid game, absolutely decimate Trifecta at that point in the game. And like I said, I think the Trifecta should just lean in on where they have looked their strongest, the early game, and where Dignitas looked the weakest, the early game. If you're going to try and get even to the 14 to 17 minute Oni Fury fight against Team Dignitas, the undefeated best team in the SPL right now, you're going to lose. So just don't play their game. I think it feels like Trifecta's trying to play their game.
I think the hardest thing with Trifecta, though, is trying to break the mentality in their heads now, because they know themselves they're underperforming, they've not looked good, they've spoken about it themselves. You can see it on the faces, too, after every single game. They care, they want to win.
Yes.
They're just really struggling at the moment, and that can start to have a knock-on effect, too.
It can. It is really hard. It starts to compound itself. You know, you start to doubt your own picks and the preparation that you've been doing and all that kind of stuff. And then that ultimately starts affecting your practice and in the way that you're practicing. And then if you're not practicing properly, you look even worse as the weeks go on. It's tough. It's so much of doing anything at a very, very high level is mental. And the mental game for Trifecta needs to stay strong, even if their actual SMITE play has not.
Maybe that's the case then. Maybe we do see them go for an early game comp. Well, that's the desk, though. Tom, Taco, do you think they should just rush all in?
Well, something's got to change because that one just was not a strong look. Great stuff for Dignitas, though. The Aphrodite pays off, and the win comes their way.
I think it was just the target focus selection from Trifecta where they really had struggles with that Aphrodite because Aphra, I mean, what does she do best? It's protect one individual, and every single time that Trifecta would try to combine their CC and their burst damage, Hurriwind was usually able to save the day. And not only that, but Variety had a lot of really strong backline ganks.
And his laning phase was fantastic as well. The guys on Trifecta tried to tackle him over there on the short side. 3-man ganking him at some points, and he was just walking away, visibly laughing on the camera. I mean, Variety was doing whatever he wanted.
It's definitely rough stuff for a team whenever you invest 3 people to try and find one pick and it still doesn't pan out in your favor. I don't necessarily view this, though, as Trifecta having poor execution because of missed abilities.
Sure.
It was really just they struggled with finding the right target selection. So if they clean that up, and it might be a possibility that we don't even see Aphrodite again for Dignitas.
That's certainly fair. We'll take a look at what was going on there with Variety and just how strong he was. This was one of the original plays that they made onto Ducky. You see he's able to just kind of dance underneath the tower. And then later on kind of gets away from a similar experience. This is what you were talking about, though. His ability to just kind of mess with everybody on the backside.
And I think that Weekend, for what it's worth, didn't really have as much of an opportunity to try and look for that counter flank. Oftentimes he was just a little bit too far forward. I don't even think necessarily that it was him trying to be intentionally out of position so much as it was Dignitas would just jump on top of the Susano before he could really have an opportunity to try and punish Hurriwind.
Great stuff there from Team Dignitas. 5 kills without a death there for Variety. And certainly hoping to continue that as we get into game number 2. He was strong on the Achilles. He's been strong all season.
Achilles has definitely been a landmark god, though,
Yeah.
for a lot of solo laners so far in Season 6. And I like Ducky's response with the Osiris. I think that we even saw some promising moments from Ducky. He got a couple of really solid picks for Trifecta in that last game. Unfortunately, they just didn't amount to much in the bigger picture. So I think I want to see Ducky again on the Osiris or something that's just as aggressive.
Sure.
And if they're going to try and gank Variety early on, maybe don't give Weekend the Susano. Maybe try and get something with a little bit more damage early on.
You heard the commentators talk about Arachne. That's a character I would love to see Weekend on. We saw some play of Arachne yesterday. She's certainly viable. She's a very strong character, and that's one that Weekend has kind of really called his own. So kind of curious to not see her in game number 1. Hopefully we see it in game 2.
Looked like a much better day, though, for Eonic over... I mean, I know it's only game 1, but if you compare it to his set yesterday, I think even anybody who saw those games would tell you that Eonic's looking a lot more alive today.
I mean, here, sorry, Weekend. Eonic actually out-damages his jungler. Whether that's good for Eonic or bad for Weekend is a different conversation, but...
A little bit of both. I think it was more so just Dignitas punishing Trifecta for not fully committing to, I think, an execution of a team fight.
That's fair.
I feel like there were a lot of instances where as soon as Aphrodite showed up and linked to someone, Trifecta would instantaneously back off, and forfeiting the positioning advantage to Dignitas when they're the ones with the out-of-combat healing potential, I think is just made things too complicated for the re-engagement for Trifecta.
And because of that, Trifecta had to continuously defend against Dignitas' repeated insurgents, and that was just too much to handle, I think, for the red, white, and blue. So Trifecta lose game number 1, and as they look towards game number 2, focus on what went right. Like you said, Eonic looked pretty strong and then allowed the team to kind of succeed and find what little that they did off of the back of that. Hopefully Eonic can kind of double down. Picks and bans, though, for game number 2 here. Trifecta will change things around, and they'll look for the first pick. We saw them ban King Arthur, and I think it was a great look. We'll see if they continue that here in our second game.
If I'm Dignitas, I don't ban King Arthur, though.
Oh, yeah.
I challenge Trifecta to see if they're going to stay strong on that King Arthur ban or not, because I could definitely see Trifecta possibly wavering on that decision after Game 1 wasn't successful. But the Aphrodite being taken out immediately, love that switch up for Trifecta. I think it was very necessary, and when you're in the first pick position, you could definitely try and strong-arm Merlin out of this case, but Dignitas a little bit too quick to catch on.
Trifecta would be available. So Trifecta have the first pick, and if King Arthur isn't banned here, Trifecta could go in the King Arthur direction. What I would like to see is Trifecta ban Arthur and then pick an Achilles. I think that Ducky, you were asking for aggression. Achilles can stay aggressive. Achilles is a top pick in my mind.
I don't think it's just your mind either. I would not be surprised to potentially see Dignitas even choosing to ban the Achilles, because like I said, I think it's fair to challenge Trifecta on a King Arthur ban, because I don't think that Ducky wants to play King Arthur. He's gotten it in the past, and it did not work very successfully for Trifecta.
That's fair.
I'm not certain that that's really a god that he feels super comfortable on, despite the fact that King Arthur can have a huge team fighting presence. You also need to be capable of utilizing that sustain to be that team fighting presence.
Coach Cassier and Wowy standing up and really thinking this one out. Spent a lot of time on that, and King Arthur will be the ban there. Immediately, Dignitas respond by taking care of Achilles. And so Trifecta now, do you go to the Bellona or do you go elsewhere?
I think Bellona would be wise just because it feels like the default decision for variety, but I also really like Xbalanque here for Wowy. Freya is on the board currently, though, and Freya is known as a pretty devastating matchup usually for Xbalanque. So I'm assuming that Trifecta is just going to try and bank everything on cutting the lights off during a team fight.
It certainly will be the case. Trifecta going up against Dignitas and saying, look, their team fight's stronger than us. They seem to be communicating better than us. What if we took it away? So a nice look there strategically from Trifecta. Dignitas hovering on the Bellona that we were talking about. They will lock that in. Does seem like a default choice for variety. Also just a strong default choice there for the short side in general. So with that in mind, Bellona and Terra will be the selection here. Dignitas now pushing the option over to Trifecta on the clock.
Wise of Dignitas to take that Terra out of Eonic's hands, force him to be a little bit more flexible, and I wouldn't be surprised if Ganesh ends up being the result here, but I almost would prefer to see Eonic on something that still carries the same level of interrupt. Maybe an Athena has a little bit of that global presence, and I think even Kumbhakarna could bode well for Trifecta here. You still have a way to interrupt the Bellona and the Terra, and it could be detrimental for any carries.
Trifecta certainly thinking it over. Eonic very vocal here, so they might be looking for the Guardian. And like I said, there's Coach Cassier, a recent pickup from the Trifecta guys a couple of weeks ago. They brought him on board from Spain. Made a name for himself coaching down in the minor league earlier on this year. Part of the Insignum run that brought Lasbra to the forefront of everybody's mind. And, well, there's the Kumbhakarna that you were looking for. And the Osiris. So, Taco, you're 3 for 3 right now.
All I'm saying is play a lot of rank, Tom. you start to learn what some of these guys prefer, but there's the Freya that I was waiting on as well for Ataraxia in response to that Xbalanque. Kumbhakarna, though, could definitely help alleviate some of that pressure that Freya can bring in the early game. I still think that this is a possible punish opportunity for Trifecta now, but I want to see Lasbra not on the Discordia or something that takes ramp-up time. I just want him to invest for early game damage.
Where are you thinking then? Something like an Isis or?
I still stand by the Hawa or the Agni. I think that those are probably two of the best options for Trifecta right now. Hawa because it could deal with Freya so well, but could run into its own issues against the Terra and Bellona. But I definitely think that the Agni will be very safe for Trifecta in this position. I'm just not certain that Lasbra is super keen on that.
We'll see so far. Second round of bans, the black and yellow ban out some junglers. Trifecta looking towards the carry position. You think that Dignitas are going to put Freya in the hands of Hurriwind, it looks like. Because the B-Man can play both. But Jing definitely a long lane carry. So Trifecta kind of showing their hand, and Dignitas, we'll see where they put that Freya. The Erlang Shen will likely be a jungler.
You take out the Amus and Kaba, I think, just to play it safe, in case Dignitas were toying with the idea of throwing Hurriwind onto a Freya mid or even an Amu's and Cobb in the mid lane. Jing I think screams a little bit more towards that ADC tradition, but
Exactly.
I definitely think that Dignitas, since they are in the lead currently with the set, they're the ones mostly riding the momentum.
Wowy sitting down. Last 2 picks here for Trifecta coming through. Kumbhakarna, Osiris, and Xbalanque selected, so we're looking for a jungler and a mid laner here for the Trifecta squad. Wowy confident in the Xbalanque, but the mid lane, Lasbra, thinking about the Puch. I like the choice. I think Puch certainly still playable.
It's risky, but it's got range,
Yeah.
and I like the anti-heal potential. I think that that's going to be super important against a team with so much self-sustain and a little bit of team sustain because of that Terra. So a wise choice, but Weekend going for the Ravana, I think, introduces the dive that Trifecta needed.
This is kind of what you were looking for. Now, Puch, not an early game monster, but can kind of hold his own. Ravana, though, certainly earlier than the Susano and can make an impact. Dignitas go for the Ullr, so Freya and Ullr can switch positions. We'll see what happens when we get into game. But Trifecta, better or worse with respect to the draft?
Definitely better.
I got to agree. I think we've enabled Weekend to sort of be an early game carry and hand it to the mid game. Ducky might have an easier time against the Bellona with the Osiris, so that matchup kind of goes back and forth depending on who's ready. Is this one game number 2 for Dig, or?
Dig is super good, so it's hard to root against them, but I love this comp from Trifecta. It has potential to punish.
Gotta say, I like the draft as well, and I like the casters. Hindu, aggro, take us away.
Is he after something?
I don't know. I mean, he did ask me to hang out a lot this weekend. It was
It is
kinda
Friday.
weird. Yeah.
He's probably in a good mood. He doesn't say nice things normally. Welcome back for game number 2 here. Dignitas up against Trifecta again. Bit of a difference here. Afro banned, first of all, means
Yeah.
Dig can't run it back. But they've made slight adjustments.
Yeah, they go with the Puch instead, a much more defensive mid laner this time around, but I'm concerned about it, man. I mean, you're going to get Erlang pinned or Freya whooped, and you're going to pop as Puch. You've got no way to escape. Basically, your best hope is that you can press 4 before you die.
4 and run away, right?
Yes.
That's probably bravely run away. Let's put it that way.
I would not count on running away. That's all I'm going to say. I don't think you'll have the opportunity. I would assume you're going to die and just press 4 anyways. That's the game plan.
So Trifecta have tried to match a little bit in terms of tankiness in the front line too. With Weekend playing this Ravana in the jungle himself, Ducky back on the Osiris, and a Kumbhakarna this game. They're really looking to try and lock down Dignitas W key more than anything else, it feels like.
Eonic is basically the peel bot here, and it's good against the Terra. It stops that combo from happening quite as easily of dashing through your monolith or dashing through your walls. It also is really good against the Freya, and I like where Eonic is right now, hiding on this left-hand side. Might be able to get the beads out from Ataraxia early.
Yield level 1, but Ataraxia playing it safe on the corner. Will the minimap give away the game? It will when the Groggy Strike comes through. Big old as he goes through that, but the beads were consumed, and straight afterwards the beads are on cooldown, so the horrific emblem sets up the potential for the kill. Cooldown's up. This is a big old dive. Remember, it's Kumba, so he won't die, even if he does take that tower shot.
That's right. No kill happening. Eonic
But
shades out his
Qvo.
passive. That's fine.
Kiva might go for cleanup. No, he's just going to go for the buff. Interesting.
I like this actually.
Is that
Instead of
that
going
cool?
for the red like he has been doing, instead he's going to go straight to the purple to make sure that Eonic and Wowy can't get it. Heads up.
He'd already done the red. Funny enough, he'd already actually taken that one down and given it over.
I think Hurriwind actually came over and did it as he was doing the purple.
Oh, maybe.
I think he blinked straight over towards the purple buff to make sure
I'd have
that
gone for the kill though.
I know you would.
Combo level 1. He's used everything. He's only got a Groggy Strike, right? And if you Erlang Shen with a pin,
He was
job's
only,
done.
but QvoFred was only level 1, so he wouldn't have had a second ability in order to get to close the gap after he got rooted.
Okay.
Is the big one.
Yeah, okay. I'd have done it. I'd have got the kill too. And been like, yeah.
Wow,
But-
you're sick.
Yeah, no, thanks. I appreciate it. Why everyone's giving me compliments today? Tom first, then you. Hurriwind in mid lane, gonna get aggressive and get the beads out of Lasbra early. And this is why we expected the all in mid lane. Weekend gonna at the tail end, gonna take a lot of damage, and the rain of arrows will end the life. And actually, Hurriwind really felt himself on that play. He was like,
As he should.
Cheekily.
He didn't miss a single thing. He didn't miss a single auto. Hit everything after the fact as well.
That
I
really
was-
is a mid laner's dream when they play Hunters, though, right?
Yeah, just be like, see, it's so easy to
Hunters
do
isn't
this.
hard.
Exactly. That's exactly what we're talking about. I've got good respect for that play from Hurriwind, because now he can say, playing Zeus is harder, and you can't really argue with it.
No, you can. Trust me. Trust me, you can. I mean, to be fair, playing a Hunter now with Odysseus Bow is like playing Zeus most games.
Exactly! It's OP! That's what I've been saying!
I mean, you don't get a detonate at the end. You do.
Who cares?
Oh, okay.
You're doing 1,000,000 damage with your auto attacks.
Tell you what,
make
we'll
the
take,
chain light.
let's remove Odibo, but we'll get rid of Zeus detonate at the same time. How's that?
What does he get instead?
I mean, what's Odibo going to get replaced with?
I don't know, but
That's the issue.
you can buy a million other items. You can't have any more abilities. You have to have a replacement.
Maybe just the detonate is only protection shred, no damage.
That's awful. That'd be so. He'd do no damage.
Well, you'd have to do it beforehand and then throw the chain lightning after. It wouldn't work because he didn't have the stats.
Yeah, it'd be
Tricks in the mid lane on the Terra this game round. The Kumbhakarna for Eonic now trying to rotate to the right-hand side to help out poor old Ducky, who would just like his blue buff at this point, but he's not going to get it because QvoFred's already in the pit, clearing the camp, and Eonic at level 2 could be in trouble here, but no pressure onto him. Instead, he's trying to rotate round to the right and help out the 3-on-3 situation that is in Dignitas' favor in terms of just health bars at the moment.
Eonic used the horrific, and it feels like a spot where they should be able to fight, but they just don't have the health bars and really skills for Eonic overall, that with him only being level 2 and Ducky low on health and mana. That would have been a good fight with Weaken there, but with the state of the solo lane, it just wasn't going to work.
Kuvo this time on the Erlang Shen as well, more importantly. It's interesting to see Kuvo one game Erlang Shen, Trixtank the other game Erlang Shen. They're really showing that they're happy to, well, use the same sort of gods, but multi-roll them.
And I think Variety probably has in the God pool as well, and probably not his favored selection when things like Bellona, Achilles, King Arthur exist, but it's still something that they could go to in a pinch, I'm sure.
Something tells me I think Variety's god deep down, his favorite one of all time is probably the Zhongqi. It's the god I've seen him pull out every single year. At some point, he's pulled out a Zhongqi.
He does love Zhong, and it's fun. I don't know.
I think Zhong's in a pretty good spot right now, actually.
I think so too. I think that you can go for things like Zhongqi right now, not only in mid lane, but in solo lane. I could see it working, though.
Definitely
maybe not with
Osiris
there.
Yeah.
Osiris is kind of the checks and balances of the solo lane in a way. Where will this work if they pick Osiris? No.
Get it
then
out.
Maybe we shouldn't pick it, at least until they've locked something else in.
That's true. 1-1 then, early on in this. One gold lead slightly favoring Dignitas because of how the beginning of the game went. And funny enough, it was Trifecta that got first blood, as I'm saying, how the beginning of the game went.
Really went well with the Eonic smart gank on the left-hand side, but then Hurriwind kind of put on a show in the mid lane and was able to get an answer back for Dignitas.
Still not an early game comp though, Ryan, is it? It really is drafted for a team fight later stages of the game with this Alposh in the mid lane. This is the first point of contention.
Yes, and I kind of stand by what I was saying before. I think that SK was one of the teams that started to impress me the most with this, but we can talk about it in a bit.
A gank on the blue buff, or an attempt to steal from the blue buff from Dignitas here, but a trap was set from Trifecta. Ducky under pressure as well there as the Osiris comes through with the Terra to cause some problems. Bludgeon from Variety avoided by the ultimate out of Ducky, and the follow-up from Weakens on. Variety on the run away, but gets good peel from Trix and Kuvo. Trix still had his ultimate, has to use it for himself now, but with Ducky here, Trix is in a world of problems. Scrap that, it's Eonic.
Hurriwind is the one that's making stuff happen. Eonic is the first to fall. Variety's getting lower, but Hurry is ready to go. He gets a kill on the Weaken. And just a great rotation over from Hurriwind late. Lasbra's there way beforehand. That's the Boots 2 instead of the Transcendence Rush on the other side. But Hurriwind's able to make a big impact. Not that Lasbra didn't. He had a really good Empty the Crypts that shut off any help coming for Variety. But Variety still had his ultimate. Just good patience across the board by Dignitas.
But teamwork as well. Like, it was like a dance, the way they went in and out, juggled aggro, juggled sustain, just trying to live and allow each other to get damage off onto the opposition. Trifecta, they could have just hard committed on one character, but they kind of split the difference quite a lot.
A lot. It was, let's kill Variety. Oh, well, he's out now. Let's try and kill Trix. But now Kuvo's in front of us, so maybe we should try and kill him. And that's what really good teams do to you. And that's why I'm liking watching this squad so much.
Nice Spanish out of Ataraxia there. He'll get the beads out of Wowy, who didn't realize that he had backup with Weaken there. Wowy's still under pressure, though, now that those beads are down. And Ataraxia going to invest the full might of that ultimate to try and set up the kill for Trix. Won't be the case. Hurriwind, though, still on the warpath right about now. With how the Ullr's going so far, I wouldn't bet against him.
No. And
Cast a curse.
Hey, he doesn't have all the buttons ready, so he's got to use what he's got from that position. Still forces Wowy back to base. Ducky wants to keep this fight going on the right.
Good fight there for Ducky on that right-hand side, but I'm not sure if he will find the kill. Variety still has his ultimate up. And those ultimates are definitely the ones where it's a test of who's ballsy enough to hold it longer.
Got the beads out from Lasbra, though, from Qvo, so that was certainly worth his ultimate, especially now that we're going towards the red buff invade. Is perfect timing. Good ward over the wall will spot exactly where Hurriwind is, but he doesn't need to be too close to this fight in order to secure that red.
That's just a situation of, well, Weaken's on the right-hand side defending the blue. That's Dignitas switching up a little bit. Pressure on blue, pressure on blue. Bad fight at blue that didn't really result in too much for them. Nearly got themselves in trouble. So let's rotate around the map as Trifecta are defending this now. We can look to pressure red.
It just seems like they have every timer. Even when you're right, they're invading blue consistently, they just happen to have the red timer and know exactly when they should be playing aggressively in mid. If we can get a relic here, if we can get an ultimate here, then we can invade the red, and there's no hesitation.
How do you get control of those kind of like, is it wards? Because it's not really face checking all the time.
A lot of times it's wards. A lot of times it's, I know when my red is up, and I see Lasbra going into left jungle low. And so I'm going to assume that 4 seconds from now, the buff will be up. That's when the buff is dropped. So I do my math on the buff timer, and that's when I'm going there. I mean, it is a lot of, and honestly, almost all of that is Hurriwind, because he's the one who's kind of air traffic controlling from the mid lane. A lot of mid laners' jobs is to keep track of timers, not just red, but basically everything, because you know where everyone is moving all the time, and so you get to see you get the most information of anybody else just by default. And so it's just another thing that's kind of added on. And Hurriwind's always been one that I've been impressed with his ability to keep everything straight in the comms and exactly where everyone is going. He's always been one of the more communicative mid laners, and that's something that a lot of mids do struggle with, is being a little bit too quiet.
You can't see him speaking on the camera there because he likes to keep his face down for the most
So
part.
does Trix. That's where their synergy comes from. Trix,
I think Trix is just up close.
Oh, we move Trix's down. We always have to, because he's always like
He's
really
always
down
in there.
Like, yeah.
Leaned over, pressure on. Hurriwind in the mid lane though, working on those stacks, nearly got those completed on that Transcendence, which is a nice big power spike. Not just in terms of raw power, but also in cooldown, so you can get more abilities off. And with how this has gone so far, Trifecta really are setting up protect the Arpwash composition. Eonic already has seen him a little bit lackluster in engages early on. It's more about peel. Already you can see him just setting up a defensive wall, so to speak.
And that's kind of what the mid laner dreams of, is having a Kumbhakarna there to help. But
I like this though. Like I like this idea from Trifecta to, hey, put someone on defense, right? Protect the carries in the back line. Let me, Ducky and Weaken, then need to work on how to frontline and start these engages. But at least have the faith in the back line's not going to be dead before we even get the engagement off.
But look at what, I mean, they're just sitting under tower, Graham. They're giving up every red now. They're giving up a gold fury at this point. The idea is solid. We wanted to sit back and protect, but
I meant in the team fights. I didn't mean in the phases of laning.
Sure.
You know, the start. Variety still taking this trade for the totem of coup. Not so sure about that when they've both got ults that can go over the wall. However, I don't think he'll be too upset with the fact that he did get both of those ultimates.
yeah, they only needed one for sure, but ends up getting both from that position. Certainly could be worse for Variety, but you're right. I mean, that decision to sit there and just whack away at the Totem of Coup is not going to work when you've got that amount of pressure.
The Tricks are going to go in, try and invade this blue buff on the right-hand side, or so does he defend it. But Ducky's getting very low here. A couple of punches will be enough. It's Hurriwind that will actually thread the needle for the kill, and now close the gap on Eonic. Taps the hammer's axes in the air, I should say, and now looks to close down onto Eonic. Went for the groggy strike, and that damage burst. He got knocked up and disappeared.
Just no chance for Eonic to get away from that, because it isn't Erlang support anymore. That's a Crusher Erlang jungle who's level 10. He's doing quite a bit more damage, and Hurriwind also certainly bringing that damage.
Ataraxia though, 2-level lead on Wowy when Wowy did get assistance with that first blood at the start of the game to get some pressure. Ataraxia pretty much lost the first wave too, but still working out okay for Dignitas.
This is such a good matchup for Freya, because Wowy just can't really walk up to him at the wave at all, because otherwise he gets whooped. And now that Ataraxia has that hastened ring, he's going to speed himself up with the auto attacks and slow Wowy down at the same time. Even with Rising Jaguar, you just don't create enough distance.
Right?
Yeah, you just keep holding left click and keep going at him, and there's not a whole lot Wowy can do, so he basically has to concede the lane.
Guess what? There's a red buff up. Guess what? Dignitas have arrived to strip it away. They won't get the blue on the right-hand side, but more importantly, they have taken down the tier 1 tower on that right-hand side and opened that lane up. Eonic went for the groggy strike there, couldn't really connect. And now Hurriwind and the whole of Dig are heading back towards the middle area here.
They're just standing right on top of the tower line, and what is Trifecta able to do to stop them from this position? I mean, Lasbra only has 15 stacks on that Book of Thoth. He's going to do some damage, sure, but It's going to only be with that empty the crypts or a big corpse explosion, and I just don't see either of those making a huge impact in this sort of spot.
Look, he's just still trying to continue to farm up where he can, but level 12 now online for Variety. So his second relic is going to be available. What are we expecting in terms of second relics here from solo laners this game?
For Variety, I would expect... I wouldn't even hate a blink. If you just like blink, shield bash, and opwash, he has to ult you, right? I mean, he can't. He's got no other way to get away.
You're really all about kill the opwash.
Yeah,
right?
that's what you do. I mean, it's easy pickings for you if you get on top of them, and so you can kind of stagger that. Actually, Thorns is probably best here for Variety. It makes Wowy's auto attacks on you do a lot, be less incentivized.
You're a scumbag.
Plus, Opwash can't stop the damage when he lets it out, so...
That's the worst feeling in the world when he's just sending you out. You're like, no, this is going to kill me now.
That's right. It never feels good. So I think Thorns for Variety. Ducky could go for Thorns as well. They already have one horrific emblem, maybe a Shell, though I imagine that's what Eonic will get in that second slot. But upgraded Shell against characters like Freya and Ullr do help out quite a bit.
Just because it
even
blocks some
Erlang.
of those auto attacks at the start. Yeah, you're right. Pyromancer pulled by Dignitas. The whole of Trifecta seems to know it should be going on, but I don't think they feel confident to test. Instead, going to try and get some mid-lane pressure here. Look to invade the left-hand side, give Wowy a bit of free time on this tier 1 where possible. I think that's why Weekends are going towards those back camps right now.
Man, Eonic on Kumbhakarna, this was the case yesterday as well. On the Kumbhakarna, he has more damage than Lasbra or Wowy.
But he's levels. That means he's fighting more. That's the problem. I see that as he's fighting, but he's not farming.
No,
he's
I mean,
experience.
He's been sitting in mid lane the entire time. No one's been fighting is the problem for me.
Sure.
It's just been nobody who's been able to engage at all from Trifecta. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. If you're going to sit here and just let Dignitas take what they want and think that, oh, well, we've got a decent team fighting comp, maybe we can win a team fight, you're not going to, because Dignitas is just better at team fighting than you are right now as a team. I think you need to play to your outs. You need to go in for the all-in strategy, and it's a low percentage strategy. I don't disagree with that. This is a much higher percentage in a vacuum to go with a strategy that's more traditional and team fights well and all that kind of stuff. But I just don't think Trifecta as a team are ready to beat Dignitas in a game like this, so they should try and beat them in games where they aren't on even grounds. Pick Arachne, pick Ratatosker, invade, gank level 1 mid. You can't just play straight up Smite against a team that is the top of the league right now and has beaten the best of the best.
It is really weird though when you talk about like different strategies of how Dig are really good in the mid-late game, but early game they struggle. And then you've got Trifecta on the other hand who are trying to play mid-late game comps when they're struggling in the early too to try and find any sort of window. And with that deficit here, it's 5,000 gold now, and 15 minutes in. That's 1,000 gold each player. That is almost getting towards a whole item.
Yeah, I mean, these are more blowout games than when we see, like 20-2s by 20 minutes. Those games you end up winning those games more often than you win these, is what I'm saying. Where Dignitas has all the time in the world to talk about how they want to play the game. They can go for every buff. They can do whatever they want.
Primal Fury's been leash drop by Dig because they want to fight and they will do so. Variety with the Eagles rally removes Lasbra early on. Thorns, I'm not even sure was used. Meanwhile, Ducky was trying to answer that back onto Ataraxia, but Ataraxia's having none of that. Gets a bit of peel, gets out in time. Variety back in action looking for Wowy, and Wowy's running away from now QvoFred. They did peel away Variety, but they can't peel away the next warrior.
Qvo's in, he gets his third in a row. Eonic on the run, and Hurriwind hunting for him. He's just far enough away where I don't think Hurry will be able to get that. This won't be enough damage, I don't think, even if it hit. But Trifecta, and you know what? I'm fine with that fight. It's a losing fight, sure, but it's better that they take that losing fight than the losing fight when Dignitas has an 8,000 gold lead 2 minutes from now and they're on Fire Giant. You know what I mean? You play to your percentages, and I just don't think Trifecta's done a good job of that this game. That was the best job they've done, and they had no shot at it because they'd rolled over every other buff, invade, and fight before that.
You see the damage numbers on your screen there from both the two. Gold and experience gain. Big difference there between the two. And I think when we go back to the graphs real quick for us as well, Doug, just to look at how steadily this decline's been. It's not been a step, which is gold fury in previous seasons. This has just been consistently going this way from about minute 4.
And look, I'm not saying that Dignitas hasn't done their job in forcing Trifecta to feel that they have to give everything up, right? They've got an Ullr in the mid lane that pushes lead super well. They've got a Freya in the duo lane that pushes lead super well. They've got an Erlang in the jungle. I mean, they have a great early game fight composition, and so I don't really blame Trifecta that much for not wanting to fight them with their draft that they went for. Kumbhakarna, Puch, who are atrocious at fighting you early on. My problem was with the draft in the way that they're trying to play this set. It just isn't going to work for them.
Eonic at level 10 here, still no second relic online, and no passive either now as he gets just pinched apart by CC after CC on his own. Not much Osiris can really do there to support other than commit. But as you can see, the level difference between the level, 18 Ataraxia, level 13 Ducky here. This is when the leads are really going to start to make an impact.
Yeah, this game, I mean, if I'm Trifecta, I'm talking about next game 100%. And we're less than 18 minutes in. I think that this is a surrender candidate here. Because this game is truly next to unwinnable for Trifecta. But it's a best of 3. You don't want to let this game in the way, and we were just talking about it, right? The losses in the way that you've been playing compounds on you pretty quickly. And this is the type that you just don't want to stew in this loss for a long period of time. At least I wouldn't.
And the only way you can win this one, like really look at it now, you're looking at a 50-minute plus game.
Yeah.
Because sure, you've got Xbalanque and Puch, and if you can get them to that stage, full build, 50 minutes, because that's what you're looking at here, you may have a shot.
Maybe you wait for the
outside.
first Phoenix siege, because Puch is good on the Phoenix defense, and that's what they're waiting on and counting on.
Blink from Weaken goes an Ataraxia. Ataraxia will vanish, and then Ullr in response. The Eagles rally set from Variety was nice too. Hurriwind though got isolated by Ducky because there's no Trixtank around here. Sorry, QvoFred was in mid, it wasn't Trix at all. This was a fight in a 4v5 that Trifecta did a very good job of here. Hurriwind's already dead. Qvo into the fray though, and with Weaken and Ducky still pushing on forward, they've bitten off a little bit more than they can chew. The rest of the team had already left.
Yeah, Ducky did a great job on the backside of getting about both relics away from Hurriwind, and then Weaken jumps in and is able to join in on that. That was well done between those two. But how do you ever protect your level 13 Puch? The Trixtank's level 14. He's a higher level than him. He does more damage than him, effectively, at this point in the game against the enemy health bars. And this is what I'm talking about. I mean, you can try and hold out for moments like this, but you're just so far behind at this point that I think that Game 3 should be in your sights.
Well, it's only 12:30, well, getting on for 12:30 here over on the east coast of America. And as I walked in today, Ataraxia was telling me, we want to do it quick today as we're going to go watch John Wick this afternoon. I guess their appointment's at 1 o'clock for that movie.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully, do you think they bought tickets already?
Probably.
Yeah, they probably did.
I would be that confident, especially with how they're playing so far today. Dignitas have looked like the #1 team.
Without a doubt. They've been uncontested. I think the only team that has an argument to maybe being better than them right now is Rival, because they played fairly early on in the split, and so Rival wasn't up to speed quite yet, but they beat them straight up. So
I think both those teams are in the same boat. They both made roster changes. Both were a mix of EU and NA too.
Right.
So I think it was a very fair match. I'm looking forward to the rematch.
Me too.
Very much so. And I think we might even get that MSI.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that those are the front runners right now. I mean, the other teams have looked very good. Pittsburgh Knights have started to put it together for sure. But
they're picking up pace, those guys. A little bit slower than I expected them to, but they're starting to get there.
They are. They definitely are. And it doesn't surprise me too much they had a slow start. Adapting teams have always been a little bit slower at the beginning of the year, the same way that you know, Dignitas teams have traditionally been very strong on the regular season phases and then a little bit weaker when it comes to playoff time. It's kind of, you see the trends.
Is it a 3-horse race right now, though? Because that's the three we're talking about is Dig, Rival, and Pittsburgh Knights. Is there a fourth horse in this race? Is there an outsider we're looking at?
I thought it was Splice, but with them having roster changes and I don't know. I don't think that you can really count them right now. I think it is a 3-horse race for the top. United proved that they aren't ready yet for a top 3.
I think I'm going to write in the script, whoever wins MSI will not win Worlds. Just
why
to
would you do that?
Make it interesting.
But it's going to be interesting no matter what. It's the World Championship.
Yeah, because then, listen, whoever wins MSI, they're going to go into the season and stomp all the way through, and everyone's going to be like, he doesn't know what he's talking about, right? And then they lose, and everyone's like, what the hell? Big fight in the mid lane, the Puch crypts are emptied. They don't do a whole ton of damage, because look at Trixtank's health bar, it's still full. Ataraxia was pressured to the backside, but Lasbra has been removed by QvoFred. Ducky, who was trying to push back this army of Dignitas members, turns around to find out he's all alone now and will fall shot in the back by Ataraxia. It's 14-3. The middle Phoenix is fallen. And Dignitas will walk away for now to the right-hand side. I think they're looking to bring in the Fire Minions to try and close this one out.
Yeah, this should be it. Variety teleports back in. He's full HP now. 3 Phoenixes down. I don't see a way out of this one for Trifecta.
The Vanish will make sure the Variety won't get its numbers up overall, but the one-shot will confirm how strong Freya still is. Game 2 is going in Dignitas. What else is there to say?
You got to change the way that you're strategizing here for Trifecta. I just think that they're coming in trying to beat Dignitas at their own game, and you just won't. No one else has, and with the way the Trifecta's been playing, I don't understand why they thought that they would be able to do it either. They should be going for their own style. And look, Dignitas is going to be a good team at forcing you to play their pace and their game. That's how they win all the time. And so I'm not saying that as long as you pick early game stuff, you're going to win. I'm just saying it gives you a better chance, and that's all you can ask for.
Completely agree, and I think the one difference here is I'm kind of looking at it like, well, Trifecta can take these games where they try and draft a Dignitas composition, and they will learn very, very quickly about where their issues are. But they've already identified their issues, right? I think they've had enough games to see that already. They should really be looking at maybe going for an early game comp to find out what they can work on first. They've got to find steps, and the early game, step 1.
Get weekend Serket, Rat, or Arachne. Those are the only 3 acceptable picks, I think, that for a weekend. Maybe Thanatos if you really want to go pure early game for them.
With the strategy, though, of like seeing these support start on the duo side, would we expect to see some different sort of support, some invade strategies early on? Maybe.
We could. I mean, give Eonic the opportunity to invade on speed. Give him Serket, something like that. He played really well on Serket yesterday. Those are the sorts of things I want to see from Trifecta. Trying to play Dignitas' game isn't going to work.
Well, we're spitballing here. Casillas should be the one to try and do that work for Trifecta. Let's go to the desk to break down game 2. That was very quick.
At 13 minutes, I think I saw a 5,000 gold lead. Just rough stuff. Doesn't really paint the picture here for Trifecta. And honestly, I mean, this team is obviously struggling, but the headline is just how good are Dig?
I think that if Trifecta continue trying to match Dignitas' game, they're probably just going to keep finding themselves smashing their head into a brick wall.
Yeah.
I think that we have reached a point now where I don't really think that the execution is really going to ever favor Trifecta. I think as a whole, Dignitas probably has the team fighting a little bit more down-packed at this point in comparison to Trifecta. So I'm right there with Aggro and Hindu. I think that it's time that we just see Trifecta bank everything into trying to develop some form of an early game lead. And when you look at some of these players, I mean, it's not like they're unfamiliar with some of the gods that I think can run a little bit more rampant in the early game. I know for a fact that Weekend's capable of playing Serket, Ratatoskr, or Arachne, and I know that Eonic can also really benefit from probably trying to use an assassin that could, at the very least, delay Quvo or interfere with what he's doing. It just feels like Quvo and Variety especially have just been able to do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, Variety just walking around the battlefield, just doing exactly that. Rally here, rally there, just controlling everybody, providing big boy damage as well. Trixtank getting the last hit, but Variety, again, just continues to be the focal point here for Team Dignitas. Good stuff. He's happy, and the team certainly feeling good. 2 wins in the bank already. 1 more, and they take the set. Again, early. This is a very quick 2 games so far.
I think that when you're dealing with, the very top of the league in comparison to the very bottom, we all knew that it was a David versus Goliath situation. Let's not sugarcoat it for Trifecta here, but Dignitas just continue to impress. So despite the fact that they knew the odds were so drastically in their favor, I don't think that they're shrugging off Trifecta by any means. This is a team that, and I think it's fair to say that every team right now in the SPL could realistically take a game or even a set off of the other. Am I going to say that Trifecta is going to do some kind of miracle run into a reverse sweep?
Sure.
I think that's unlikely, but it is possible. It's not outside the realm of possibility. I'll hand you that one. I just think that Trifecta aren't really doing themselves a favor if you know that the team that you're going up against is great at punishing teams for their team fighting mistakes. You probably shouldn't be trying to focus or everything around, out team fighting them. I think that this needs to come down to a little bit more pick-based or pick-focused type of compositions, and early game can definitely provide that.
Let's bring it closer to the ground here, boys. Let's look for something a little bit more rudimentary. I've never heard aggro say Thanatos more often. I really have not. And the key is there, not that he's in love with the character, he really doesn't like Thanatos, but the early game prowess. I mean, Thanatos is one of the earliest game monsters for sure, and it's something that we can play well. Arachne, we've already mentioned. That's where we kind of want to see this team continue to go as they come into game number 3, because that's where they're going to find their ability to win the game. Snowball it early and then see if that transitions where you're just ahead too much for the team fight to really go in any other direction.
And again, I also don't really think that it's been working out super well for them trying to focus Variety in that solo lane either. It might just be best to leave Ducky and Variety to their own devices and try to establish a lead from the opposite side of the map. Pay a visit to Ataraxia. He was playing Freya, and yet it felt like Trifecta still didn't feel as though they could actually gank that lane.
Certainly did. Certainly did. Things gotta change here for Trifecta if they want to turn things around in this set. Things have changed as the King Arthur will be banned again by Trifecta. Eonic with 1,000 yards there. Now getting involved in conversation. Xbalanque ban next to the Freya ban, so Dignitas looking at the long-range carries. Trifecta with one more. They could go Merlin. Merlin's been banned the entirety of the set.
Well, they have to go Merlin, but it does open up for Achilles here, and Dignitas gonna waste no time and just immediately snap lock that one in, probably for Variety on the solo lane, just because lane bully potential, team fight bully potential, just an all-around slam dunk of a pick for the solo laner.
Variety also looked mint on this pick earlier, so just do it again. First pick, Achilles, something you've got to get used to. Trifecta with the curveball, going for the Jormungandr. Now, Jormungandr, I think, a natural solo laner, a guardian, can play support, we've seen it, but the mid lane is where Jorm has been played often, and I got to raise the question, Zarlong Shen locked in likely for the jungle. Are we going to see another mid Jorm?
I hope not. I'm sorry, Lasbra. I was not impressed with that selection yesterday. I don't think I'll be impressed by it any more so today, and I also don't think that your mid against Dignitas is going to fare super well for Trifecta, but it is damage, so at the very least, I can see it being feasible for Jormungandr, Erlang, Shen to take off throughout that early game stride, but I feel as though Dignitas are in a position now where if they wanted to, and they might even just run back the exact same composition that they've had. Well, they're going to mix and match a little bit here, going for the Terra, still trying to keep Eonic off of that pick, I think, and it just is strong for team fights, which is something that Dignitas loves controlling.
Hachiman will be the choice for the carry. Ataraxia playing the Horseman one more time. Trifecta, they're on the clock now, looking for their choice. Lasbra giving some input.
I think it's tough though for Lasbra, because Dignitas have definitely had his numbers since the very start of this set. It feels like they have been focusing Lasbra, and I mean for good reason. He is a carry, he is the mid laner. You don't want to let him do whatever he wants to or free cast by any means, but I think Trifecta should also be playing with that in the back of their minds, because if you want to go for an all or nothing composition and just try to look for the burst damage to be like, well, even if we lose Lasbra in the process, we'll still have dealt enough to at least handle the rest of the engagement.
That's the thought process, at least. We'll see if it goes in that direction. Trifecta going to ban out the Puch. They've selected Osiris for themselves in the first half. Dignitas now looking towards Trifecta. Trifecta need a carry, a hunter. The mid lane, a little bit ambiguous as Jormungandr. Actually, never mind. With the Osiris locked in, Jormungandr almost guaranteed to be mid. Again, he could be a support, but I think that he's stronger elsewhere. So, Kronos banned out here by Team Dignitas.
Honestly, I would probably still prefer to see Jorm for Eonic than what I would for Lasbra.
Yeah.
I don't feel like, even if Lasbra has the Jorm, and let's say he's able to escape. Speaking of which, I love that Aphrodite ban. I was waiting for that to happen from Trifecta, and Dignitas probably hoping that they were going to get away with it, but not going to be able to slide that one underneath the table there over Trifecta. But getting back to that Jorm discussion,
Sure.
I think that even if Lasbra survives, if you're not able to utilize that Jormungandr ult to penetrate the back line, then that pick feels like a little bit of a waste for me.
I agree. You absolutely need to find yourself hopping over the front line with Jorm, otherwise you're not really doing it. Dignitas here, trying to figure out their last ban. Camera on Hurriwind.
Probably just ban another Hunter. Wowy's pick still hasn't been guaranteed, and Jing could have been a possibility, but it'll be Fafnir instead from Dignitas. Dig also not convinced that Jorm's going to be for Eonic.
I like the Fafnir ban. I think that even if Jorm does go to Eonic, taking the chance is kind of nice. Erlang, Shen, and Osiris with a Fafnir plus a Hunter. A little scary. Jing selected here, so Trifecta not showing their cards to the last choice. Dignitas now looking to round out their draft. They've got a solo Achilles, a dual lane of Terra and Hachi, so they need a mid lane and a jungler.
But Jing Wei's going to take a little bit of time to get online. I don't think it's an awful matchup for the laning phase. Wowy's definitely going to have plenty of survivability, I think. And Jing Wei, also one of the more ideal Hunter options against the Habwa. But with that Habwa and Pele to go with it, Trifecta, I'm not going to lie, Tom, this is looking a little grim here already in the draft.
I got to say so as well. Hevo's certainly going to bring a ton of damage, and Qvo's Pele, nothing to shake a stick at. That said, Scylla will show up. Lasbra, I've liked Lasbra on the Scylla when you look at some of the other gods he's played, and Scylla can certainly make an impact in a game. Scylla with a taunt, I'm down.
Scylla is more ideal, I think, than the Jorm mid, so
Yep.
I'm at least happy to see that adjustment from Trifecta, but I'm just not sure how the Scylla's actually going to fare against all of that burst and all of that dive potential that Habwa Pele bring to the table.
It's going to be pretty tough. Trifecta certainly have their work cut out for them, but I think this is the team that will at least try to put up a fight. Dignitas looking to take this one in 3 quick games. We'll see if they can. Hindu, aggro, take us away.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I don't think we'll be on here long with how the day's gone so far, but maybe Trifecta can make something work here. Looking at the picks and bans, though, that Jormungandr pick, I feel like that was planned for mid, but I think they may have gone away from the tail end with the comp Digger's put out.
Yeah, they needed something in their minds to match the late game, though I think I've been pretty vocal in that you don't need to match their late game. You don't want to play their style. Eonic's played the Jorm mid so far already and did pretty well with it at that game, so we'll see if they can continue that sort of momentum here in this one.
Yeah, hide your face, Wowy. I would too, with how the day's going so far. Dignitas 2-0 up. One more game will close the set and keep the streak alive.
Oh,
For
Hurriwind's
both teams.
for both teams is right. Hurriwind's playing the Biggie skin. A shout out to his Australian coach. That's nice of him.
I don't think that's intentionally being nice.
You don't think so?
No.
But it's like, it's speaking his native tongue.
Maybe. Or after the game, they'll be like, hey, good job, Biggie, you're dying there, you idiot. You know what I mean? Like, that's what they'll do.
And then they'll just make fun of Hurriwind anyways. And
They
it all
will.
comes full
They
circle.
will. They will.
So
That
it's-
happened earlier on today. He's definitely the boy on that team that gets picked on the most. It's
Poor
always
Tyler.
one on every team that the jokes are made of, you know?
Yeah, it was me on my team.
It was you on the cast in, like, Season 3.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it
that's
got,
because I was new.
then it got boring.
Yeah, because
you just kept going,
There's just so little to
it
make
was
fun
just
of
so
me for.
accurate, that was the
It's
problem.
Like, so, like, there's just so many positive things and so few negative things.
I was
It's hard.
about
I get it.
to say, start of the game, I'm like, wow, what's going on? Junglers and mids are together at the speed buff, but no, the supports are an advantage again. Eonic, you can't hide behind the wall. I'll just let you know, they have seen you already. The spit comes out, and it won't be good enough to secure the buff, but they do have lane pressure because of the decision from Dig to start at the blue buff, which makes sense for the Terra.
Exactly. Best secure in that situation for sure. Eonic isn't really even expecting to steal that buff in that position. It's more about making sure that Ducky's getting free farm. Exactly what Trixtank's doing right now.
Yeah.
Make sure that your solo laner gets that wave for free so that they can hit level 2. If you're a bit behind, it doesn't matter as much.
It is those adjustments that we're starting to see now where we've seen the supports move to the solo lane, but the solo lane is like, wait a second, I am losing so much experience here. This is a joke. Why? Why am I level 1 at 2 minutes in? What's going on here? So the adaptation where it's like, well, you're going to be over here, support. You ain't getting no farm, okay? You leave the farm to me.
That's where the way it should be, Graham.
Yep.
Supports should get to level 5 and then sit in base until a team fight's about to happen so they don't take any of my farm.
I feel like you just don't want the support to exist until you're about to die.
Yep.
Or no, you want it to exist after you die so you can blame them.
Well, I'll blame them regardless.
That's
it doesn't
true.
matter what they've been doing, really. I think I want them, like I said, they should get to level 5, then sit in base until a team fight's about to happen. Come out, ult someone, take some cooldowns for me, peel for me, and that's it.
Okay. Also build for you as well for the extra auras for
Yep,
defense and
need
stuff.
that,
Yeah,
for
makes
sure.
sense. Support's going to trade out in the jungle for the most part on the rotations around, trying to work out where they're going to go next. Both of them are a bit of an indecision on where they're going because I think they're trying to work out where the other one is. What are you doing? Well, I'm just hanging out here. Right? Is your team stopping you getting experience too? Yep. Well, should we just wait for the camp to spawn and keep trading out? Yeah, why not? Sure, let's go on out.
They really are doing absolutely nothing right now in the jungle. But they're having fun doing it. Eonic's going to head back towards solo, it looks like, and with the blue buff spawning, not a bad idea. Trixtank's on the right side, mid-harpies, though, trying to secure those.
Yeah, I actually think it's because Ducky took a little bit more damage than bargained for their variety with a nice stun after the dash to try and get a bit of peel, but the damage is just too much and the consistent slows will end up bringing variety down. Good rotation at the end of the day from Eonic, then to go back on himself and pick up the kill.
Now blue buff spawning and weakens here. Qvo could make the rotation over towards this solo lane and try and get this blue buff, but he might just be looking for the kill on the Trix.
Yeah, I think Trix him around a little bit too long there,
Nice
and
shot.
Eonic with a long-range shot from downtown will be good enough. Blue buff's still alive here, but variety after the teleport back in action, and Weaken trips him back with a blink, and Weaken says, you know what, I got a blink. Qvo says, me too, friend. He'll take the kill. So 1-for-1 over the blue buff. Then overall, who really pays off for that? I guess it's Trifecta.
I think it's Dignitas because
Really?
they get the kill on the jungler and Qvo gets to keep farming, whereas the kill for Trifecta was on the support, and that's less important because, again, they only need to be there to ultimate.
I was thinking like, just rubbing it in. I was thinking Freya had to use the teleport before he got his boots online at the same
Sure.
time as Trix still only being level 2, but Lasbra this rotation to try and defend the blue buff on the right side has been punished by Dignitas here. They whittled down the health bars of Ducky and Lasbra. Eonic going to take a trip back low on mana too. And with the stripping of the jungle, now you're correct that Dignitas, I feel, got the advantage there.
Yeah, if we're factoring in the first blood for Trifecta, they still end up ahead, I think, even after losing the blue, just because, as you mentioned, Variety has to use a teleport, they get the first blood bounty, all that good stuff. But when it starts talking about the blue buff invade that Trifecta tried to execute on, that absolutely is in Dig's favor.
Full Bancroft's talent for the Hebo in mid lane. It's not often we see that, but it's something that comes in now and again. Why here?
Paul special, baby. That's Paul, big fan of the Bancroft's talent. Look, Haba's going to get low. He's going to ult in. He's going to end up taking half his HP from some burst damage. And then he's going to turn around and one you for 600, and you're going to be like, what's up?
Again, gets up from Dignitas. It could have got turned on here as we can rotate around the back. The crushing wave from Hurriwind, though, did help out a little bit. However, the I'm a Monster did not connect, and neither did the crush. Trixtank would just punch his good old friend in the face. And down goes Lasbra for his first death. Good news is, though, he does at least have the Book of Thoth online and stacking. So trying to match pace of this Habwa in the early game.
Scylla is definitely going to take some more time to ramp it up, though, in comparison. I mean, Hurriwind's good to fight now and forever, basically, from here on out. Lasbra's still going to want to wait around. A play like that is the perfect example. If this is 20 minutes instead of 5 minutes, then that crush ends up killing Trixtank even if the I'm a Monster misses.
It really is Scylla's passive that allows her to do so much more than anything, just maxing out the ability. The crush, all the second, and the ultimate too. They all do extra damage because of it or have extra effects. Is
You
that
also
why
just get extra power.
I was gonna say, is that why like Scylla's kind of, it's awkward to level her sometimes. The average player will just level her normally of like, okay, well, I got points up, but I can't put it in 2, so I'll put it in my first ability. But you delay your power spikes.
Yes, you do. You wanna save a point whenever you're ready to max out your 1 on the next ability. You really want to save that to make sure that you don't have to put a point in your ult and then end up getting another one. You really need to max sick 'em as soon as possible, but crush needs to be first because that's your wave clear and your main damage. That is a huge component of Scylla for sure.
It's still weird though that you have to not put a point in the ultimate sometimes, right? When the ultimate's available to be taken on an upgrade and you're like, no, gonna delay this for my crush damage. And then you're in a really tricky situation where you're like, well, I could have killed him if I had my ult upgraded, but instead I got a little bit more damage on my poke.
Yeah, I think in this spot for Lasbra, you can end up maxing. You can put an extra point in your ult before you end up maxing crush. I think that if there's a lot of times you'll see players when a big fight is about to break out, you really need that extra point of damage right now, and there's a big enough increase in damage on I'm a Monster per base level that it's worth that risk almost. It depends on your composition. If you got a lot of CC and setup, then I think it is worth putting that point into your ultimate. If you're doing it all yourself, first of all, why are you picking Scylla? Secondly, you probably want to max the crush.
So far, the Yom's done okay, I was about to say, but now just getting pinched from the side as Qvo and Trixtank collapse and knock his health bar below half. Eonic should be okay for now, though. Got a couple of health potions sustaining. However, will take a trip back to base and not continue to soak up the experience. Nope, he changes his mind too.
May as well stick around a little bit longer, probably close enough to
get the experience, yeah.
Tier 1 of the Gauntlet of Thebes, maybe even Tier 2 from this position. No, it's just going to be Tier 1 and some wards, but got to get those wards. Again, if you're going to be out of base and taking my farm, you may as well give me some vision.
Trifecta here, trying to defend the right and Harpies. They've got a ward down, but Trixtank just walking on up is enough to pressure them away for the time being. Didn't really have eyes on where QvoFred was, I guess, and they're a little bit concerned about that, knowing Eonic wasn't around. Qvo, though, on the defense, I should say, of his own blue buff. Every time I've seen Dig go somewhere in the jungle, it's generally been invaded.
This time, definitely less pressure in the mid lane than the Ullr, but it's the same sort of idea. It did take Dignitas a little bit in Game 1 to start invading pretty consistently. This is more akin to the pace of Game 1 so far, but I don't know how long Dignitas will let that last.
There's that blue buff invade I was talking about. It's just a little bit ahead of my script. Apologies for that. 8 minutes in, it's all tied up for now. It's a little bit of a better start in a lot of ways for Trifecta with them being tied up at this point, because this was where danger signs were starting to be happening. Hurriwind lazy backing in mid has been annihilated, deservedly so. Very, very lazy, very overconfident there, in my opinion. It was a very good opportunity from Weekend to blink on in.
Perfectly done by Trifecta, and that's what you need to do. I mean, you cannot let a single opportunity given to you by Dignitas go by the wayside here if you're Trifecta. The way the set has gone, they punish accordingly. Hurriwind not only ends up dying because of the lazy back, but also ends up losing the purification bead. So do it again. Get right back on top of him and kill him before those beads are up.
It's almost unforgivable when you've got no mana as well. That's why I'm kind of mad. He literally had no mana to even get his ultimate off there. Was available for him, but just too late towards the end. So a nice little kill on the board for Lasbra, who did connect the I'm a Monster too. So the ultimate was invested there from him. Ryan Harpies will go actually the way of Lasbra now as he strips him away from QvoFred. A little bit more confidence in the Trifecta play here. Things are starting to work out a little bit better so far.
Weekend's been able to get farm pretty well so far in the jungle. Wowy's getting pressured a bit on this left-hand side, but that's kind of expected. I mean, Jing just not exactly a high-pressure selection.
No, she's not there for that, though, is she?
No, she's there for the late game and really the safety as well, that you will get to the late game without having to worry about anything else.
Yeah, okay, a little bit of poke from Trixtank there, pin out from Weekend onto Hurriwind. We'll keep him honest, at least for 2 seconds, as he comes back up to sustain after wave. With QvoFred now lurking on the right-hand side, however. They may look for a play in mid. Blink's available for him. Blink's still on cooldown for Weekend. Without any further real chance of minions pressuring the tower, he'll rotate to the right-hand side, where Ducky needs some help at his blue buff.
Lasbra just backed. Oh, Weekend is in trouble in the mid lane. Water Hand's not up in time. Eonic right
really
there.
Really good peel from Eonic, but Eonic may die for it. Talk about dying, that's Ducky on the right-hand side that's going to fall on down there. He was trying to defend the blue buff on his own for the most part. Eonic was making the rotation and support, but the aggression onto Weekend slowed that down. So Dignitas pulling members one way and then slapping them in the other.
Perfectly done. That's the way you play the map at the high level for sure. Dignitas now in the lead ever so slightly in the gold department, but it's really just the momentum that's starting to build up for them. Their mid-game team fight is just nasty. I mean, Achilles is still going to feel like he's doing 1,000,000 damage. Pele is going to be at her strongest peak. Hurriwind's going to be at a really strong point in the Habwa build. Trix is going to still be able to do a lot. It's going to be good.
Blink from Weekend, a very fast ultimate out of Lasbra with the I'm a Monster to hit onto Hurriwind too. Hurriwind was just after the farm here, but it was a good collapse out of Trifecta that. Can they get away though? Lasbra under pressure, has to jump through the wall. Qvo with the blink to close the gap. The burst is good, and Qvo's on a killing spree.
Wowy trying to get it there, but Ataraxia cuts him off and cuts Weekend down at the exact same time. I'm like, Wowy's got a good angle to this, and then in comes the horse from Ataraxia.
Just steals the angle, is basically what he did. And turn it around. Eonic in the mid lane will get his ultimate off. Variety though with this rotation will continue to pressure. For a second I thought he might have gone all the way, knowing he's got the execute available if Eonic did drop below that health threshold here. But it was a good fight from Trifecta's initiation there. Weekend has found 2 windows now.
Exactly, and Hurriwind's beads were still down from the last time where he got punished, so that's exactly what you have to do, is use those opportunities. And this is more akin to what we saw in Game 1 from Trifecta. They're playing aggressively in moments like this, and even though they're down or pretty close to down, that's fine. Do something. We saw what doing nothing does. They lost in 23 minutes. Do something.
And maybe still losing 23 minutes, but at least you've done something.
But at least you did something. That's right.
Trixtank on the left-hand side now, going to try and stop the red buff being done, although it's already down. Wowy secures that for his team, and we'll pick it up at the tail end of his purple buff wearing off here. Mid lane is a little bit behind in experience. Is this the support meta again? Is that the reason why they're so far behind? Or is it the deaths?
No, it's the fact that we're triple splitting every mid wave again.
Hey! I love those
fun.
days!
Really awesome.
It's free golden experience in the support. I
I
love
like it a lot. I like my support being the same level as me, for sure.
I bet you do. When you get slapped by a Guardian, it can tickle. But sometimes it can really hurt. Eonic going to feel the pain from Hurriwind and Trixtank as the root damage is good enough. Lasbra couldn't really do much there outside of a cross and stick him. Not really there for the CC chain at this stage. Dignitas, all the fighting is in the mid lane here.
And that's where they're really strong, is around QvoFred, around Trixtank, and around Hurriwind. Those 3 have played so well so far this year that may as well keep the ball rolling.
Weekend has the blink available. May need to make a play if he's going to go for a Gold Fury secure. We'll just throw out the pin though and hope for the best. Better option there in my opinion.
Yep.
The risk reward was kind of like, well, this is really a 99-to-1 chance, right?
Right, because chances are they still get the Gold Fury, but if they killed Weekend as well, does that mean they get a mid tower, a Pyromancer? I mean, it opens the door to even more. That's good understanding of the map, of the game state, I think, from Weekend, and understanding how far behind Trifecta is. You just have to kind of take those lumps where you get them and try and take better fights elsewhere.
That's always the issue. When I ever play support and my whole team's dead and they see me go for a Gold Fury secure, I'm like, it's not going to make a difference, boys. Like, they can't do Fire Giant at this point, but if I don't do something, I'm just going to exist, right? I can't stop them pushing towers as a 5-man.
Well, that's where you're supposed to get your farm when I can't be there to get it. Just do that's where.
No,
that's
I take the farm too. That's the whole point.
Oh, awesome, great! You take my, you clear my wave and you. That's awesome.
That's right. I mean, you're dead, so what use are you?
I was gonna teleport back.
Yeah. See, just would have been wasted both ends. Ducky being pressured by the Achilles, and Ducky been sticking to the Osiris a little bit more so this week. We did see a bit of Nox play out of him, funny enough, which it worked.
It did. He played well.
I wasn't sold on it going into that set, but it worked out.
Watch out. Eonic in trouble right away. We saw this happen earlier where, yes, he can't get knocked up, so you're like, oh, this is a good pick against the Pele. But when you can get CC'd and dazed, where you get that knock-up effect, but instead of getting knocked up, he's slowed and takes 10% more damage. When you add CC on top of that, you would have rather gotten knocked up most of the time. He really does struggle in moments like that.
Well, the pressure from Trix and Variety and the blue buff is forcing Trifecta to defend that, which means they got the Pyromancer here, Dignitas, pretty much uncontested. The fight after the fray, though, Trifecta's trying to make something happen. Ultimate out of Eonic is doing good work on Hurriwind, but Ducky's left alone now. Eonic and support will come through. Ducky's still going for the kill. He'll find it on Hurriwind. That's a big kill between the support and the solo laner out of Trifecta.
Yeah, bad beads there from Hurriwind. He tries to beads away and knock up from the Jormungandr and the tether at the same time, but he was too early. He still got tether stunned after using the purification beads to get away from the knockup, but he still got hit by the ultimate from Eonic anyways. Just a little bit of bad relic usage there punishes him.
Tier 1 tower will go down the right-hand side. Middle tower could be the next on the cards with Variety already here. But Wowy's already done a good job of rotating as well to try and support that. Blink from QvoFred chasing Lasbra. Good use of abilities from Lasbra, but he's just not going to get enough chance to get away from the absolute insane mobility QvoFred's got.
Man, Pele's still good, huh? I mean, Sam made her look great yesterday, though Sam was just playing at an insane level all yesterday. Quvo looks great here, 4-0 and 4. He's been a part of every single kill so far for Dignitas, and he's going for a pretty interesting build. We see a lot less Soul Eaters these days on Pele, more focusing on her early game power spikes. Glad Shield still gives you some sustain, but is much cheaper and you don't have to stack it. You still get some physical protection and CDR as well.
I think the Soul Eater is an option, but I think it's very much a double down on the sustain meta of that character. And in doing so, you can put yourself in a pigeonhole of like, well, if you're going to go for ridiculous sustain, we just go anti-heal and it kind of negates that. But if you go other options, just raw damage, raw tankiness, it's still going to have a sustain factor in there anyway.
Yes, it will. And so that kind of makes your power spike a little bit sooner and a little bit smoother than the Soul Eater does. Now he's going to go for what could be a Runic Shield, could be an Achilles, probably an Achilles to get some more CDR in the build. also a little bit cheaper and can be good up against Lasbra and Eonic.
That pressure in the mid lane there, you just witnessed Lasbra and Eonic have to stay behind their tier 1 tower as Dignitas just routed on through, took it down. No other members of Trifecta are around to help. And now Wowy's, he's at his tier 2 tower now as the tier 1's being pressured on the left-hand side because the army of Dignitas is marching on. Good pin out of Weaken, though, will get the beats out of QvoFred, but the Shen after the fact is even more important. And QvoFred pops the ultimate and makes Weaken's life hell.
Oh, Lasbra, buddy, this is not where you want to be. Easy double kill for QvoFred. And Trifecta, wow, he's still underneath the tier 2 at least. He got out.
I mean, the one thing about this as well is I knew Trix and Cuvo were going to do this to Lasbra today. They've been looking forward to this to the moment they knew he was going to be on the team this year. Excited to play with him. They believe he deserves the shot. He's a very good player. But they're good friends, and the one thing they want to do is really beat him down.
They really
hard
do.
too. Like, that's why you're seeing Cuvo do taunts. Cuvo's not a big taunter overall in the grand scheme. Ducky trying to get a kill on Trixtank. Trixtank will slip the noose for now, and Hurriwind will hang him with his own rope. On top of that, the Phoenix now under pressure as meanwhile QvoFred is fighting the rest of Trifecta. But it's not going to stop the Phoenix from falling.
Weaken and the rest of Trifecta still trying to keep it going. Huge damage though from Ataraxia. Level 18, by the way.
Against the level 13, and that's the Hunters getting all that farm and being left alone again.
Man, look at the player damage though. This is becoming a trend, Graham, that it's Ducky up top with soul laner damage, and then it's Eonic before any of the other damage dealers. It was this way yesterday. We saw it earlier today as well, though Weaken was ahead of him in that one. The willingness to fight from Lasbra and Wowy just has not been there at all.
Trixtank going to be under pressure from Wowy too, but he set up a trap for Wowy here. Variety swinging around the back, and I don't think Trifecta have realized it just yet. Wowy will, I think, as he dashes in for a kill onto Ataraxia. Gets turned around on the horsey and flies the shot into the back of his head. But now Variety can be left alone because Weaken's right around the back, and it's Variety under pressure from Weaken.
It's level 17 though. I mean,
good point.
You're good, man.
Didn't think about that angle.
Yeah, he's not winning that.
He's a raid boss now.
But he's not losing it either, if that makes any sense. He's not too worried.
12-6, double the kills for Dignitas in this one. Gold lead is around 8,000 here as it stands. 12,500 experience as well. And some stages of the game we like to talk gold. Gold is the very easy one to talk about, but experience is easy here. The level difference is something you mentioned there with Variety, but it's everywhere across the map.
3 levels in solo, 2 levels in jungle, 3 levels in mid, 2 levels in support, only 1 in ADC. It's rough right now for Trifecta for sure. But look, this is the type of game I would rather see them play than what we saw in game 2. They at least put up an effort to fight instead of just waiting around to lose.
Trick's going to root 2 targets and Weaken pinned into a wall and having a rough old time of it as he gets body blocked by Trixtank now too. The execute at the end of that will be enough from Variety to secure the kill and allow him to clear the wave out as well. Dignitas really just focus on the tier 2 tower here, or a Pyromancer or a Fire Giant if it's available.
Yeah, we're going Fire here, fellas. I mean, Eonic's level 12 and has the ultimate, so you have to be a little bit concerned about that World Serpent, but you can always reset it before they end up getting in.
I was joking. I saw Dignitas in between the game 2 and game 3, and I was like, hey, speed it up a little bit, will ya? I was joking.
Did they know that? Or?
I mean, this Fire Giant's pre-20 minutes, so I guess. I guess he took me serious.
Oh, they need a meditation here for Hurriwind. He's got no mana. They still secure it. Eonic is in that World Serpent ultimate, but he'll back it on out of there now that Fire Giant's gone.
I was going to say he's got FG now, so he'll be able to regen mana. Or he could just walk into mid lane and base randomly on his own. That could be a good idea.
Not bad. Worked. Did he get back to base or didn't?
That's the key. He got to buy items.
And that's all that mattered.
That's why my voice back says at least you can buy wards now. You know, you got to look at the bright side.
That's right.
Of things.
Yeah, that's not bad.
When things are rough and grim. 2 tier 2 towers remaining for Trifecta to try and defend. With the Phoenix already been down the left-hand side though, going to be tricky at a Phoenix defense here. It's not a bad composition Trifecta have crafted for Phoenix defense, but it's not going to work out if one of them has already been broken.
They just don't have any. They don't have any damage. I mean, Lasbra's got 3 items. He just doesn't do anything right now. And he's a Scylla. He hasn't maxed out more than 2 abilities yet, and that's where a lot of the power comes from. We highlighted that earlier. He just really won't deal enough damage to feel relevant on these Phoenix Sieges, I don't think.
Tier 2 falls in mid. Dignitas continue the pressure. Variety's on the left-hand side, bringing on those fire minions. That left-hand Phoenix is respawning relatively soon, so no real surprise to see this pressure there. Meanwhile, though, QvoFred, feeling a little confident, will pressure the right-hand side at the same time. Dignitas controlling all parts of the map here. Now, Variety could even get sneakily behind him if they're not careful.
Quvo can't really split push the Phoenix though, because the tier 2's still up, so he's got to join in.
Frey's got.
Full
Frey
fight.
just walked right behind everybody. Hello, Wowy. Goodbye, Wowy. He had no chance. That was execution style. There was nothing he could do. The rest of the team just watched him.
No.
That was. Oh, get me out. Moving on to matchup number 2 of the day. Dignitas coming up big and closing it out very quick.
Oof. That one hurts.
The end was as brutal as the mid game. That's what that one was. Pats on the chest for QvoFred there from Hurriwind, as they're happy with the result here today. Good day's work from the boys of Dig.
Yeah, they'll make their movie. That's for sure.
They will.
They got the job done in record time. I mean,
They might want to get on the net.
What
the
was game 1 like 28? I want to say.
Yeah, that was the longest of the game.
Yeah, the longest one. Look, we knew this was going to be a lopsided matchup. I just think that Trifecta need to look internally about not trying to just go out there. It feels like they are still playing Smite as teams did in Season 4, where it was a lot of we just load up and we go across the way at each other and we just see who's better at Smite game. You know, the league has evolved. Teams going with real dedicated game plans on lanes they want to pressure and the drafts they're going to go for and why they think those drafts are good against what that team's play style is. Not just what their draft is, but what their play style is as a whole. And I just don't think Trifecta have identified how they kind of identify themselves, what their play style is, or have worked out how their play style interacts with other teams' play styles and how they can get an advantage from that.
We're not surprised by the result overall, though. Obviously, this was the #1 seeded team currently in Dignitas up against the 10th seeded team in Trifecta. You expect this to be a 3-0 situation,
Yes.
an advantage in Dignitas' way. That's no surprise. We're just talking about how Trifecta could improve. And for more of that, let's go to the desk to break it down before we move on to the second set.
Thanks a lot there, friends. This one was just an old-fashioned stomp. At the end of the day, sometimes the better team wins easily, and that's what we saw.
Yeah, Dignitas just seemed like they had full control of the set from game 1, and I think that a large part of the problem is just the fact that Trifecta, well, I like the adjustment from yesterday, or in general, they took away the King Arthur, but unfortunately, I just think that Dignitas' team fighting in comparison to Trifecta's is drastically outweighing them, and that is a large part of the reason why, no matter how much Trifecta tried to stalemate the laning phases, I mean, even instances where they would get a pick or two, it still never really amounted to much more than just that raw pick for gold and experience.
And I mean, look, you know, any way you want to paint it, I think the analysis here is just that these 5 players are 5 of the best players in the league, and they beat up Trifecta. Sometimes it's just that simple. I think Dignitas was the better team on the field today, up and down, no questions asked, and we saw the result.
Yeah, I think Trifecta know as well. I mean, the player camps can tell a lot,
Yeah.
I think. As the set started off, you know, game 1, things are looking a little bit grim, but, you know, there's still a few more possibilities that you can bounce it back. And then game 2 takes place, and that was arguably Trifecta's best draft, I think, out of this set. But it just felt like when you're trying to out-team fight Dignitas, you're probably not going to be able to really topple them in arguably their strongest aspect.
Yeah, we were asking for, you know, some pick composition, some early game composition, some cheese from Trifecta, but they stay non-dairy, stick to traditional stuff, and Dignitas just honestly beat them with the traditional stuff. Really no other way to break it down. You know, normally I come out here and I at least say, you know, Trifecta were trying for this, or they could have opted for this, or these are the things that they did well. I think at the end of the day, sometimes games just
Sometimes one team is just better.
Yeah, man. I
That's
mean,
really
what
all
we
it is.
saw.
Dignitas is just a better team here, and Trifecta knew it or know it now for sure, but that's only a temporary kind of thing. You never know. That there's still a possibility, I think, for Trifecta to kind of ramp things up. We are only in our first phase, so it's not to say that there isn't a possibility that these teams could eventually develop into something more, but as it currently stands, Dignitas definitely, I think, punching down a little bit into Trifecta, unfortunately for those guys. But I hope that moving forward, we start to see a little bit more of that cheese, as people like to say. But
Sure.
I don't think there's anything wrong with
I
going
agree.
for a straight early game, especially for teams like Trifecta, where they're struggling to find their identity as is.
I got to agree with that one for sure. I mean, there's no shame, but also what you were saying before in that this team can grow. There's a number of players here that I think have a great ceiling. You know, Lasbra moving positions, Eonic coming back. I mentioned this at the beginning of the set. I'm going to mention this again now that we're at the end of the set. A lot of these players have a ways to go before they reach their ceiling. So we'll see what happens with Trifecta. But with Dignitas, we've got Biggie and Ataraxia standing by for the post-game interview.
All right, guys, congratulations on your victory. Nate, we'll start with you. Game 2, you get level 1 killed. Was it hard not to F6 at that point? What was the comms like?
There was a funny moment because Biggie came in after the games and he can hear the comms, and so they ganked me at level 1. He's got the Kumbha thing to get my beads, and then the horrific almost got out but didn't, and then he comes back and does it again at level 2, but I lived that time, and then I see Wowy back in because he shoved the wave in. I was like, yes, I can finally leave my town, go for farm, and then Tyler says, Raven's coming right. And I just swear, I'm like, and then I just go do backcams and then I can't even go for my wave. So that was pretty frustrating, but I know the way we're playing, or on solo and stuff like that, there's no worry, you know, I could die 3 times in a row and we'd still be fine, so.
Following upon the way you guys are playing at the moment, obviously coming into this set, you were the #1 seed so far in the league against Trifecta at the bottom. What was the real game plan going into today? Obviously win the set, but was there anything more than that you were really aiming to do?
The game plan was to work on our weaknesses, and I think if we were properly preparing for like just comp for comp to beat Trifecta, we probably would have done something different. But I wanted to play with a bit more pressure and just a bit more like practice. And the early game was really where we really lacked intensity, especially in scrims. And so I just said, okay, we're gonna come in this week and just try and like blow them away like 3 20-minute games, you know. And we kind of did that besides game 1.
Yeah, Biggie, as the coach, is that when you're looking for early game pressure and improving in the early game, that's been the one semi-weakness for you guys so far. Are you happy with the initial results of that?
Yeah, I was most impressed with the fact that I think there was like a few like laughs and stuff having fun, but there was no trolling in any of our map play or anything, or people going for kills or chasing kills. The team play was very clean, and we fought and we dove and then we peeled properly like, pretty much 90% of the time. So I was really happy with that because it was, even though it was Trifecta, it was one of our biggest like learning kind of weeks so far, I guess.
Ask your question real quick, Nate. You mentioned to me you're going to the movies. How early are you going to be to the movies now?
Well, we booked the tickets for 1:15. I don't even know what time it is, so I hope we made it on time.
Right on time,
right,
boys.
we've gotta go
Enjoy
then.
the movie.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
Just
The SMITE Pro League brought to you by Titanforge, Hyra Studios, INAP, Respawn, Steel Series, Alienware, and Skillshop.